And it's important to note too, they just got pinned, but this is not patch notes. This is. Oh, he meant to be in a Discord call. I think I'll just stream it on my own. I think. Yeah, I think I'll just chill like this for now. This is not a patch notes. That's very like an actual important note to keep in mind. This is not a patch notes. There's a reason for that. It'll kind of make sense. I think this is more easily described as gauging feedback and sort of revealing like what the closed alpha is going to look like. And the actual patch notes, there'll be full available stuff for everyone to know everything about the game as it's getting closer to being out. All right.
What is going on, everybody? And welcome to another edition
It's a little quiet.
To Dev Insight Show. My name's Isaiah, community lead here at Titan Forge Studios. I'm going to be your host today, and we're going to be going over a lot of stuff. We had a lot of feedback come in during our last closed alpha weekend playtest, and the team has been putting in a ton of work. So we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff here today, and here to break down a lot of the things that we're going through is Alex, our executive producer here at Titan Forge, and then design director AJ is joining me here as well. How are you all doing today?
Doing great. Yeah, excited to be here. Excited to be able to talk about how we're addressing all the feedback that we got from the community. And I just want to start by thanking the community for giving us the feedback.
I'm so excited for everyone to see this, dude.
We've said publicly
so
a lot of times, don't treat us with kid gloves. Yeah. Don't act like, it's a beta, they'll get to it, right? You guys definitely took the kid gloves off this time, and you gave us some real, honest, hard-hitting feedback. And it's hard as a dev team to oh my God, they hate it, for a day or two. But then it was cool. Now we have the information that we need to really, hit the ground running and to address the issues and make the game that we all want to play. So thank you all for the feedback. It's really been great getting the team rallied around addressing it over the past few days.
Absolutely. Well, this is going to be a Dev Insight show. It's going to be a little bit more casual, a little bit more conversational. We're going to be talking at a high level some of the biggest community topics and feedback that we got and how we're addressing them going into Closed Alpha 1. Now, this is not a full update show. I want to be clear before we get started and get everything going here. So we're going to have a full update show for Closed Alpha 1 in a couple weeks where we're going to be going over things like full God, item, and game mode balance. We're going to have the full Mordred kit reveal on that show in a couple weeks. I know people are really excited about that. And then we're also going to be going a little bit more in depth on some of the things like ranked and some other games.
I don't know how much I'm going to talk over it.
We'll
probably more as we get further into stuff. But for
when
this
that show
opening stuff,
goes
I'm probably
live
just going
in
to
a couple of weeks. But
chilling.
For today, we've got a lot of good stuff going over. So y'all just want to hop into it? I feel like we've got...
Yes, I'm going to go off script a little bit at the start.
Let's go off script.
I addressed one thing that I don't think we ever talked about from Alpha Weekend 4.
Yeah.
And that's that servers kind of sucked at the start of it.
That is true, yeah.
So what we learned at the beginning through looking at some data there is that we were using a group of servers that didn't have fast enough hard drives to be able to run the SMITE 2 server. And that was causing really degraded performance. So starting around day 2 of the last alpha, you notice the performance got a lot better. That's because we got all of those slow hard drive servers out of the rotation, and we aren't going to be bringing that level of server back into the rotation going forward. So you shouldn't see that issue anymore.
Interesting.
We will also, for this next
Kill
test, we're
Goon
going to
does
be
not
testing
look like a
different server
killer.
regions.
That's crazy.
So again, we're just trying to make sure that we get the best experience possible, but you may
usually
find you have
Ajax
slightly
is sitting on
different
the
ping from
couch. I
match
haven't
to
seen
match
him
because we're gonna be
driving in a
testing couple
while.
different regions to see what works best for everybody. But with that little off script out of the way, we can get to what we actually want to talk about. Sorry about that.
I'm super excited. I know the first topic that we're going to cover today has been a big topic even since the initial alpha weekend, kind of on the forward-facing God selection side of things. Let's talk about how we are transitioning from 3D renders to card art coming back in
Card
Alpha
art!
Weekend 1.
Card art's back.
Yep.
I'm so excited.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So
W change.
So I think AJ will talk more about this, but
I do not think that is referred to as a casting
initially
couch.
when we were designing SMITE 2, one of the things we were thinking was man, these models look so great. Let's try and use the models everywhere, right? And initially when we were designing the UI, we were like, it'd be really cool if we could use the actual 3D
card art
models
is a
moving
W
everywhere.
change.
And so we were kind of building towards that. But what we found is that performance-wise, that was just never going to work out in a way that felt good to players because it's going to take a long time to load screens. So then we went to these renders, which I think looked nice, but I don't think they gave the SMITE feel that everybody wanted, right? So we've been taking this feedback that people want the card art back, and we've been talking about like, well, how can we stay true to the original card art, but update it in a way that feels modern and Smite 2-y. So I'll let AJ take the helm here. I'm talking too much. So
I mean, the people have spoken. They wanted the cards, so the cards are coming back. We're going to be using the Smite 1 card art for the default cards as inspiration for most of the, ported Smite 1 gods. New gods like Hecatine Mordred will have to have all new cards. Those might not be ready for this patch because we're going to have to go out and make those.
They will not be ready for that.
They will not be ready. That's right. They will not be ready, but many of the gods will be ready.
Yeah, 100% agree with the
card art. But we're going to do some touch-ups. Like some of their default cards are very old. And might have some other issues with proportions or sizing, or also we changed models in a couple characters too. They have different clothing, different outfits, different shapes. So trying to make that accurate, we're going to do some touch-ups. The goal is to really keep it in the spirit. We're not completely reworking it. We know people love those arts for many reasons. So
I think that's really cool.
Demo here today to show you what Loki is going to look like in Smite 2 card arts. We can go ahead and throw that up on the screen to give an example. So here's the card art you're used to for Loki. It's nice art, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look like Loki. Like his face is purple and his eyes are kind of like it's almost like he's
if there's one thing nobody can ever
you
take
know?
away
It's
from
like,
Smite, in my opinion,
it doesn't quite
it's that
look
Smite
like
has an
Loki, even though it's a cool
unbelievably
card.
good
So then
art
we're going
team.
to go ahead and toggle to the updated version that we plan to use as his default in Smite 2 that gets a lot more of Loki's personality coming through, his actual facial features looking
that's
accurate.
clean.
Some other
I like
corrections
that.
for lighting and directional reflections in other places on the card. But this is the level of change we're looking for. So we're not looking to change core poses or theme or style.
I like that.
It's just some
It's
touch-ups
subtle,
on the
but it's a
detail
good
level.
yeah, it's like a
lot of
good
them are
update, like
face,
they're saying.
Specific facial expression and facial features updates, but then some also
Especially
have
like if it's not
armor
broke,
and,
don't fix it.
weapon
You know what I mean?
updates to match Smite 2 as well. So every god in Smite 2 will have these card arts.
Yeah, and I think, in the early days of Smite 2 development, we said it's going to be Smite, but strictly better. And I think that, maybe we went off the rails a little bit with the renders, but I think if you look at this, you can't. It's really hard to say.
And I
this
do kind of
isn't
understand what they're
we did
saying
in
about the
Smite,
renders
but just
too.
strictly
Like,
better. It's the level of
I feel like I
detail,
would
the polish
make the same exact
is
decision
very
of
good.
like, oh well, let's
Shout
just
out
use
to
these
Stu
because they
and
look
his
so
crew and
cool.
Jordan, making this happen. So.
Yeah, we're going to do a lot of shout outs today because everybody's been busting their asses on this patch. Like, for real. That's why we're here early to tell you about half of it or more because there's so much in this one.
Yeah, and I think in terms of what to expect for
like
this
clarification's
rollout,
sake,
right? Because
some stuff I do,
like
very little stuff I do know
will
about
not
and have
all
seen.
be in
Very,
CA1.
very
I
little.
think what
Most
we're currently
stuff
targeting
is like
about
new to me
6
also.
gods that will have their updated card art for
I've
first
said it
closed alpha
before,
test.
like I said it on
And then
Twitter, but just for
hopefully
like a full
CA2,
clarification
maybe
sake,
CA3,
I am
we'll
a
get the rest of them
contractor, I'm a
over.
freelance caster
And we'll just kind of
for
roll
Hi-Res.
through it, and
So, like,
you'll see
I'm
it
not an
update
employee.
over time. But we want to, we're committed to this direction. This is where we're going.
I
It's
haven't
just gonna take us,
streamed or
a
really
little bit of
talked
time to
about
get
it
there.
since I've
That's
tweeted
great.
about
Thanks
it,
for
but just for
clarifying.
like
Awesome.
that
Well, the
clarification,
next one I'm
that's
super
that like
excited about,
separation
'cause I
of
know
like
we had a lot
they're
of
my
conversation
opinions
on
kind of
social
thing.
media from content creators, ambassadors. Let's talk about how we're approaching the environment going into closed alpha 1.
And not just the environment, but the entire game's art style. As in a way, it even affects the core gameplay and characters.
I know very little.
We're making a lot of big changes here, and we're going to show you some before and afters here in just one second. But the main thing, I'm just going to give the high level first. So, like, we've been really taking the feedback about the Smite 2.
This
art
is something
style
I
and what
also
can we
agreed
do
with.
to make
I
it
felt
more our
like
own, make it pop, make it feel like Smite.
like
So we're going to have a lot.
the
of
art team in
changes we're
Smite
about
is
to
so
show.
good
number
that I
one
kind of
goal,
was like,
adjust
why
core
are we
engine
doing like
settings to
a
remove
Paragon
that
feel?
default Unreal Engine
So I'm really
feel,
excited
right?
to see more.
That was one thing we really
like,
tried to tackle hard.
personality.
Was
I don't think it
trying
was
to get
bad
these
like a
more
lot of people say.
crisper,
I don't think it was
sharper
bad.
images.
I just
Like,
don't think
there's
it was
that
Smite
part of that
feeling.
Unreal Engine feel is a lot of
So I'm
like
excited for it to feel like
hyperrealism
Smite.
focus. You get a lot of camera blur, a lot of distance blur, stuff like that. Does not really fit to Smite's gameplay very well. The next one was to adjust the environment and the character models and lighting for more vibrant colors and some stylized visuals. So those were kind of the two really big goals. We're going to just show some before and after screenshots because I think those really show what we're talking about
I'm
here.
excited to see this.
So this is what the center, standing in the center of mid lane, looking at the order base would look like in Alpha 4 update. So take a second.
Does Anubis look different
Absorb it
there, or
in,
am I
bring it
losing
in.
my
I mean,
mind?
Let it simmer.
There's nothing immediately offensive about this, I think, but it's like we're thinking about what can still be improved. And those things I'm listing here. So now let's
why is
I
Anubis
think the
light
thing that's
skinned?
most striking is just like the amount of brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of brown and
Yeah,
green
brighter.
earth tones just like everywhere. So now let's
It's like its
toggle to
brightness
the
was turned
new in progress closed alpha version. Here we go. So you have a completely reworked floor. You have
I
a
like
lot
that.
more vibrant greens in the grass and the trees, and different greens that contrast each other, as well as the rocks. You've got sharper
I'm glad it's not
visuals, like,
full,
if you can- production, if you don't mind, like, kind of
fantasy.
toggling back
I
and forth
feel like
between them,
that's
like every few seconds
like
as we talk.
that's a
like,
really good change.
Look in the distance as they toggle back and forth, and you'll see that a lot of the distant visuals are a lot more clear.
Yeah, it feels
Even
more
with
Smite.
that kind of fog, you got a lot better view of them. If you look at Anubis, even just the back of his head, you can see some of that Unreal Engine blur that's there in the old version, and the colors don't quite work
It's
out.
crazy
And
how
then
much
into the
better
new
that makes
version,
the
you
map
see
look,
that,
too.
Like, that green really shines, and the lines in his silhouette really sharp. Like, this is just what we've been able to do in a few weeks, and it's made a really big progress. So, we're going to look at a few more before and afters. We're going to show off even more of the map. But I just want to call out shout outs to all the art team and environment team that have been working so hard on this. And I want to also, like Alex mentioned with the rollout, I want to clarify that a little bit. So, we're looking to get these core visuals in the 24/7 patch. So that's sharpness, vibrance, color, definition, style is going to be there. But because we're doing such a large rework, it's going to mean that a couple things are going to be removed or have to be remade. So if you toggle back and forth between the old one again, you'll notice there's a lot more set dressing, as we would call it, like props on the trees and rocks, so those little plants and things like that. Those are all in progress and are going to come back, but they're not in this image right now. We want to just clarify that to know that's like a known issue. It's not that we intended to remove all that, but we're going to bring it back and we're going to apply the similar principles to it, make sure it's sharp and clear and vibrant, and make sure it's
I really
not
do like the
noisy or
stylized look.
overloaded
It's really
or
clean.
too monochromatic.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna
Because
have
you
a
also
lot
got to
build
imagine
on
it with like
after
all the
CA1 as
abilities
well.
being traded back and forth
just
too. You know,
to kind of say it once
That's really
again,
nice.
just to make sure, this is all still work in progress, right? So things that maybe don't look 100% finished, like some of the transitions between the grass and the ground, and the exact brightness level and all of that, right? We're still tuning.
Anubis still
a
looks
lot of this
weird
stuff
to me
across the
in
map,
this.
and
He
some
like
parts
I
of the
don't
map are
know.
more done than others. We think
I
it's
feel like
gonna
I'm
be in
going
a good
crazy. I feel
state
like he doesn't
to
look
show
like
the
that in
direction
Smite
that
2
we're
right
going,
now.
and it feels good to play on.
This feels
by
like a
the time we
different
get to
model.
Our closed alpha patch, but
I feel like
it's not
Anubis
done yet.
has a
We're
lot of
still in
dark
alpha.
colors
We're
to
gonna
him.
keep working on it, and it's going to keep getting better.
All right, so let's rotate through a few more sections of the map to show the before and after. This was the before for looking at the chaos side from the mid lane,
I want to see the
and
reds.
then a lot of brown again. And then here's the new looking at the chaos side of the mid lane. So things you'll notice is the reworked floor, the stone versus.
I wish
the
there was a
grass.
little
You'll see
more red
multiple
to it, but
different
it
shades of
looks. I
grass.
like that a lot.
You've got
The reds feel a little
orange,
blue.
like auburn grass over in the jungle and the
But I do like the
trees.
auburn glass.
in
Oh, I like
different color
the
than they were
change of
before?
trees in the grass too.
Now let's go. Yeah, you see those trees are kind of a pale brown, especially or even yellow on the left. You get a lot more of that vibrant orange, and you get a lot more of that in the grass on the floor and the contrast.
How many
between
suns
order
are
and
on
chaos.
this planet?
Yeah, I think really.
Ooh, good call
it's
out.
Not like I got
The red
lost
on the
Conquest
tower
map
is
before,
nice.
but I find myself getting lost a lot less.
Yes.
You know what part of the map you're in a lot more because of these little color hints.
I like the
tell you
jewel.
What part of map you are?
And now we're going to go into the jungle. We're going to see, I think,
I like the
even
red
more
trees and the
intensely
grass.
compelling than what we've seen before. So this is the previous jungle from Alpha 4. And then
Yeah,
let's
the
toggle to
back of the
new
chaos area looked a
jungle.
little
Yeah,
bit
we go.
Look at
blue.
those colors.
That's
and
a
that
big
style,
difference.
right? The grass. There's a lot of really cool tech going on in this map that we're going to show off in more detail in the main patch notes show. But yeah, I think just the greens and the grass and the
That's a
contrast with the rocks
big
and the trees and the
difference.
sky, everything just pops like so much more. And there's so much more clarity in the both distant
I like that the
and
grass isn't just flat.
close range. Like it was really surprising to me when we were looking through those Unreal Engine settings and going through and doing another pass on them
Grass exists.
and
Yeah,
finding just how much power we had over the visuals.
it's
of
crazy the
game
difference that makes.
through those. So and then finally the last one to show is the new and old Chaos Jungle. This is probably the single biggest improvement on any part of the map because the Chaos side really wasn't.
Yeah, I wasn't a big
super
fan of the Chaos
defined
Jungle.
as Chaos. It was using a lot of the same assets. The trees were really just a different color, but now it's got a completely new color
That's
palette,
sick.
unique to itself to define the Chaos side.
Yeah, you
I like that.
recognize immediately if you're on order or chaos, just based off of those deep oranges.
54
So
FPS.
very autumnal.
Me too.
Like
Yeah.
All colors. It looks great.
Right. So there's a lot going on still between the actual engine settings, the camera settings, the environment assets themselves, and the lighting. There's still a lot to be done. We're still working through a lot of parts of this map. Conquest map is not finished for CA1. We have a pretty good target, we think, for getting it in a really good.
I also feel like the fact, like how improved it is
update.
based off the people
Like I said,
giving feedback, should say a lot too. You know what I mean?
Adding more, vibrant.
Like when you
and
compare the two, and when you
assets
consider that this is probably like
gonna be gameplay
around a
changes to
month
this
and a
map that we're not
half,
gonna go
maybe
over
2 months
today.
of work.
New
That's
objectives
really
on the map.
impressive.
There was geometry changes, lanes
That was a
adjusted, things
guesstimation,
like that,
by the way.
all based on community feedback that we're going to go through in the future. Last call out before we go to the next section is that we're going to apply similar methodology to Arena, and we're not going to show that today because it's still a little bit.
I
more
felt like
work in
Arena
progress
looked
than
better
Conquest
though.
was, but we'll have that ready to demo for the main patch test. And this even affects the way the characters present in other places, like in the front end and the client and things like that. And it really is making a big difference. So it's great. If we want to go to the in-game real quick, I'll walk around in the parts of the Conquest map that are looking okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
We can get a real look at it.
Something
So here in the gameplay,
that they talked about and that I can say is true is like they really do
real
want
time.
actual feedback. They don't really care if you
Yeah,
say
and
something sucks,
I
but
think
they
the
just
thing
want to
that
know
I
why
noticed
does
the
it
most is
suck?
just the
Tell me
crispness
why.
of the game.
Give me an
Like,
actual
everything just
reason
feels
of why you
sharper,
think it
it's
sucks
easier
and
to
what would make
read
it
what's
better.
going on.
They really, truly, genuinely
I
mean it
noticed
when they
it
say
a lot
that.
when we were testing in Arena, which has, like you said, it's still a little more progress, but like you see team fights a lot more often in Arena, and it was a lot easier for me to follow what was going on and understand this person is exactly right here because it didn't have this kind of
It looks a lot
blur to
better.
everything anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's so much cool stuff going here. I'll demo the grass real quick because it's just really cool.
I love how it just flows in the wind.
Hey, yo, that's kind of
Like,
cool.
But it also reacts to your targeters,
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
it doesn't obscure your aim. And it's very stylized kind of grass instead of realistic, which
A
we
Queen
thought
Naga
fit
has
Smite
spawned.
really well and gave it a really unique feel. And it's like this is just what we were able to do.
Cool, new stuff to fight
Like,
over. W.
We've really
That was one thing
pivoted
I
a
felt
lot
like when
based on
we were
community feedback,
casting,
so we've been
that there
making
wasn't a lot of
these
stuff to
big
fight
changes
over on
really
the map.
fast.
There
So
wasn't
just, like,
farm to
really
fight
excited
over.
to see what we can continue to do with more
Yeah,
time
I
and
agree.
energy continued to give to this.
Because
So,
Smite has a
Yeah, I
great
think,
art
you know,
style.
Some people were have
And
been
great
using the
look.
word like cartoony as part of Smite style, and I don't think that cartoony is really the word that we're going for, but stylized.
I don't think
is
cartoony. I
definitely,
think fantasy
core to what
stylized.
Smite 1 was, and I think something we needed to get more of into Smite 2. You know,
Kind of
initially
like
our thoughts for
a
Smite 2
like a
was
Kingdoms of
we're gonna try and
Amalur.
lean a little bit
If
more on,
anyone
like,
knows
the
that, gets that
cinematic
reference.
style of Smite.
I feel
but
like that's
it just didn't
peak
feel
type
enough
of Smite
like
style.
and we hear you, and hopefully this feels a lot better.
and it supports the gameplay better too. It's just like this bit of style and vibrance just really does. And we're going to talk more about that in a later section. All right, I guess while we're on the topic, we can move on to the next section, which is close.
Ew, what are these keybinds? 2-1-QES?
Lots of work going into performance.
Alex, do you want to kick that off?
Is that a mouse button? Is that not even
I-
like
I am not a technical
key
person, but
one,
I
key
will- I
two?
will
What the
listen to
fuck?
this. So several of our
What are those
engineers
keybinds?
have been taking a really, really deep dive into performance to the point where every playtest that we do, we are logging the performance of each tick of the game. So basically, like each
Yeah,
frame
what
that
the
it's
fuck?
drawing, and they're looking at each individual process that's.
I thought my
running
keybinds
during
were weird.
each frame and what's slowing the game down, and it's it has made a very substantial difference. The other thing that
Yeah, I
we
use
are
QE as my
doing
1 and
now
my
that we
2,
weren't
but
doing
not
in
my
previous
3 and my
alphas that
4.
we're still working on. It's not 100% there yet. Is we are pre-caching some of the, basically like when FX and audio are called by the engine, they have to run through a conversion at runtime to make them usable by the engine. And now we're pre-caching that, so it doesn't.
I'm glad
need to do that
they
during
are
the game, so
sticking
you should
with their
feel a
guns
lot
with
less
component building.
hitches.
That is a hill I'll die on.
So
I think that component
generally,
building is an
the game
upgrade.
should feel a lot.
I think they could
smoother
expand
overall with a lot
the
fewer hitches.
Intelligence and
And
strength
also,
discussion.
It should just run at a better.
I think it could be more
frame rate
meaningful and
overall.
used a bit more interesting.
Your
But I love
individual
component building.
experience is going to be different depending on what your PC setup is. Some
I think it's
people
an-
have
I think it is
seen
a
drastic
objective
changes.
upgrade.
One of our artists, one of our concept artists, who
I think it also will bring
lives
more
and works
people to the
remote,
game than-
said that
than
on his
Smite
home
players
PC,
realize.
he went from, and I don't want to oversell this because this is his setup and I don't know what settings he was on, but he went from like 60 frames a second to like over 100 frames a second.
Nice.
Right.
On my home PC, I run medium settings, and I have like a 5-year-old computer. I run medium settings at like 90 frames a second now. So it's still not perfect. We're still working on the optimizations. We still have a lot to do, but I think you should notice a lot of performance improvements, which are really hard to talk about, and you just kind of have to feel.
Yeah.
So please let us know if the game is running better on your computer.
I mean, from playing the first playtest to playing even like the alpha weekends, it's been a gradual improvement.
Who have helped with the performance as well. Some of our performance issues previously were actually due to things in the environments, and they've done a lot of work in addition to these art changes to do performance improvements. So it's really a lot better.
Yeah, well said. I mean, it's one of those things that just
He didn't
takes
grab
a lot
the
of time
tower
and effort
bounty.
and work to focus on performance and get it done. And for a long time, our main goal was just adding content to the game and getting more playable characters.
Do you
playable
guys like
modes,
the
etc.
gold
But,
chalice?
now's the time. We really buckled down and dedicated a lot of engineering time and art time into getting that performance.
There's only the
designers, it was
one
something we were able
currently
to do
on the
with all
side of
departments
mid
to
for
improve that
the
performance,
30
and,
gold for your team.
It's really paying off for us in our playtesting.
Do you guys
We
like
hope you
that,
see it
or do you
too.
hate it?
Yeah,
And if anything is giving you big hitches, report it. Let us know. We'll tackle it for the next patch.
Every hour or two, there's a post in our Slack, which is like a internal messaging thing if you don't have Slack. That's like a screenshot of this, tick graph. That's like this.
I think it could be a little more
thing is
interesting,
taking
but
3 milliseconds to
I think it's
run.
cool to
Somebody
have.
needs to look at this, and we're like, oh god.
Unreal
getting
Insights
into
for
the
those of you who are
crazy.
interested.
I think it'd be
that
more
development
interesting if
process.
that was a
Epic
rotating
and the
buff.
Unreal Engine have an Unreal Insights tool that you can use.
Because like
to look
there's
at this. It's
there's buffs
really
that
cool and
spawn
really
mid,
useful.
but it'd be cool if
We've
that was
been
like
using
more
it
like
a
a
lot.
totem vibe, where
All right, well, the
if you
next thing is
capture
kind
that,
of a
you get a
larger
short
subject.
like super soldier buff
People were
kind of
talking about
thing.
it in chat when you
I think
kinda
that'd be
teased
cool.
a little bit, AJ.
Yeah, spoilers.
Item shop
Yeah.
kind of updates
Yeah.
and items in general.
I bought a whole bunch of tier 2s, which was
Yeah.
intentional. I'm not, I'm better at Smite than that. But all right, let's rattle off some of these exciting item store changes. All right, I'm just gonna let's go through them and then we'll look at them.
Cool,
We'll
let's
just
do
talk
it.
about them real quick. But first, so we're adding the short description view mode in the item store. That's what you're used to, the default on Smite 1.
Smite 1
Adding
PC.
additional dividers between stat categories for better viewing. We'll show you that in a second. We're adding a lot of gameplay changes to the item store, so a lot of UI to support that. So starter items are returning with with upgrades. Consumables and wards
Sorry, I'm
are
gonna say it,
returning and will
L.
now function like Smite 1 consumables and wards. And active item slots are getting a pretty interesting change to their
I don't like
design.
starters.
They're mostly going to work like how
I know
you're
it's a
used
hot
to,
take.
but we're gonna
I don't like
do
starters.
a lot more interesting stuff on the HUD and the UI to better facilitate that. And
because
as part of that, we will be capping the number
I'm
of
gonna
actives
listen
you can
to his
buy
ex-
to
his
3
explanation.
actives.
But
So
I like the
let's
balance
go
thing
in game and
too.
then let's
If
look
you're
at
gonna
some of
remove
these
classes,
features.
Yeah,
if you're gonna
and,
say there's no hunters, there's no assassins, there's no
you could
warriors, there's no
actually,
this, there's no that, then
first
starters
one
feel like
Chat was
they
talking about it already. I just wanted to
item
mention it.
force that. Like
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
no,
have
no,
no
they just
starters,
close
then
it. Sorry,
everybody
yeah.
can do everything because
Another thing
everybody
you'll
starts in the
notice is that,
same
We
footing.
continue to
So I really like
iterate the
that there
UI.
were
I
no
saw people
starters.
talking about it in chat.
But
so I just
I'm interested to see what they did.
One of the things that this most recent pass is doing is it's changing the colors of all the health bars to be more readable, and it's reducing the amount of brightness.
Yeah, I like
overall
they're called
in the
aspects.
UI.
I really liked
We thought
aspects.
it was
I think they
so
could have used
loud
more
that it was
fleshing
kind of,
out,
like,
and I don't feel like it
overstimulating
should have been an
and flashing and making it
in-game
harder
decision
to
like the way it
read
was, how it
the
popped up. I
rest
feel like that
of
was
the world
clunky.
as you were
Felt very
running around.
predecessor.
So sorry, I just
Minion
since
health
we're-
bars are a good example there.
Yeah,
Minion health bars now like scale and fade out at a certain distance. So you don't see a whole bunch of like infinite rectangles when you're looking down the lane. A lot of stuff went into it like
yeah.
that.
It really does make
Team display up here got relocated to a position people are going to be more familiar with.
Yeah, sorry to call that out of order here, but just because we're looking at the UI in general and I see people mentioning it, I was like, might as well mention it.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't had chat up at all because I'm following
Yeah,
the notes, but I'm
you're
glad
driving.
someone is. Were they hyped about the environment?
They seem
yeah.
pretty hype. Yeah, I would say.
Good. Okay, good. I'm sad I missed the live chat, but I was actually having to pay more attention to the show
Gotta
because
watch
I'm in
the
the
vlog.
I'm in the pon seat today.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Oh my God, remember when you dressed me up like pon for a patch show
Oh my
in
gosh.
like
That was hilarious.
April Fool's 2016 or
Oh
something?
my goodness, that was a long time.
Okay, anyway, items. So
Items, yes.
here's what we mean by the short description mode. So instead of just a huge field of grids, you now have the item with a little bit of text that kind of tells you its unique feature if it has an active.
You can own up to 3
or,
active items at
tells
once.
you,
Good change.
Like what basic stats it does, the things like that.
And it's worth calling out that this is the default view for PC. If you're playing on console, your default view is going to be the split item store like it is on console currently, with short descriptions, or or with just the icons. So
so split, and then grid detail, minimal.
Yeah. So and you notice we have default settings for a lot of these things now. What the default does is it allows us to say, okay, we have a different default setting for PC and we have a different default setting for console.
That's cool.
Without needing to have multiple different settings in our in the UI. So
I'm willing to have my mind changed on starters.
Normal to people regardless of where you're playing.
Right. So consoles will default to this view.
I just like
PC will default.
I don't know, man.
I guess I can just use the console one.
No, you can use the PC one. People,
I don't because
most people
I
watching the stream
feel
are
like
probably PC players.
Back to
sorry.
center.
Sorry to
why
make
do
you
we
change it.
want SMITE 1
I
back?
honestly like
Sometimes
centered,
is kind of how I feel about people's feedback.
Like the little item.
Some
grid
things I
only in
agree,
SMITE 1.
you know.
I use this mode,
Like
but
I
now
agreed with
kinda like
art.
it in this view
I agreed with
the grid. So yeah, this is
a
what
few
we're
other
talking
things,
about for
but
item
like
number 1,
starters,
on
they
the
were
bullet
just
point. Number 2 is these dividers. So previously
starters
these
for
were
each
like
class.
all
Yeah, it looks that
even
way.
in the grid. This was just like one big grid. It was like in order.
Shield
but it didn't have
allies
these
who are hit by
dividers like this,
CC,
except for, I
allies
think,
attack
just tier
speed. I
1,
saw
tier
2
2,
different
tier 3, but
jungle
now we have
ones.
Consumables, starters,
Death
tier
Toll
3
and
offensive,
Cowl.
so you can see all the int and strength items. Then you can scroll through that and see the tier 3 defensive. So even if you like don't really have a filter going or you don't know what you want, you can see. And then hybrid, these have int or strength and protections or health. And then tier 2s, and then finally tier 1s at the bottom. You can also
It looks like they imported a lot more of the SMITE 1 item store.
And one thing worth mentioning too, because a lot of people haven't noticed this yet, is at the top we still have these role tabs. So
I think
and
it's
these are custom
healthier.
for
I
the
feel like
god in that role.
having
So if you want to play, I don't know who you
like
are
a
right now.
full
You on
active
her?
item
If you want to
slot
play on her
is just
mid,
kind of like
these are items that you might want to build to play on her mid.
I feel
So
like
it's
it could
kind of like a
encourage bad
recommended
play, and it
build
allows you to
for
make
that role.
Right.
So
yeah, its buttons is one
if you're
thing,
looking for a really
but I think
simple
from
way
a
of figuring
balance
it out,
perspective,
and I
I think
believe that if you
it
call a
forces
role,
players to
we're
make
actually
more
gonna default you
decisions
to-
about their
That's
active
not
items,
in-
not
and
yet.
you
Okay,
can
that'll be
balance them to
eventually.
be a
We will
little
default you
bit
to decisions.
stronger.
Yeah, when we get to
if
roll,
people can
roll queue
only
and things
buy
like that,
3.
we'll be working on stuff like that. But yeah, if you're playing a god in any role, these filters are really helpful to give you a much smaller list of items. You know, this is a
Instead
more
of just saying,
traditional
"Oh, I'm just
basic
gonna buy all the
attack
active
build.
items
If
and
you
be a
switch to
walking
jungle or mid
active."
for on her, that's a more traditional ability.
Be like a fucking
hunter
tool
build,
shop.
Like you would be familiar from the
You know what I mean?
let's see, going through the list. Okay, consumables.
Yeah, let's talk about consumables.
Yeah, this is a big one.
So here we go. We have consumables now in the filter. You can now buy your wards and sentry wards. You will no
I do
longer
like
get
the
a free
ward
and
change.
There will be no cooldowns on them.
I felt like
potions work
limiting the
same as
amount
they
of
have been.
wards
We
was not a
added
great
health
idea.
chalice. So solo laners, that was some big feedback.
We saw
for
it in
solo,
competitive be a
really
very
but yeah, these work like you'd expect.
limiting
in
factor too.
SMITE 1. You can have up to 2 vision wards and 1 sentry ward in your inventory at one time. They go into specific slots that are no longer getting mixed up with your item inventory. They have dedicated hotkeys to them. These are
Nice.
the exact same default hotkeys that you would use on PC or on Savage or Challenger on console. So your relic, your consumable 1 and consumable 2 will all be exactly what you're used to based on SMITE 1. We are keeping with the only 1 relic.
I like that.
We'll talk about maybe that more in a little bit. But you'll pick your relic at the start of the game. You can't sell it or change it or upgrade it. You'll pick your 1 relic. But
I
then
like that.
when you load into the game, you can pull through. Your
Here's my
buildings.
argument
You
too
would be
for the
more familiar
relic
with
thing,
SMITE
right?
and you can build
I know people talk
consumables as
about
such.
like being limited by
I
that,
don't
but does
have
anybody
starters
else
in this list,
remember
but I
when
might as well show
SPL
it
had
off
it banned
right
where
now,
you
too,
couldn't
and then
do
we'll talk a
beads and
little bit
Aegis
more
at the
about
same
them in a
time, and
bit.
it was
But yeah,
fucking awesome?
Starters are back. One of the most
That's kinda how I
exciting
think about
new
it.
features for starters is. You might be seeing what's this little guy right here?
Oh, there's a
Oh,
starter
yeah.
slot.
What's that?
Is
You
that-
now have a starter item slot.
We
It
have
no longer
7 slots.
disrupts your 6 item build. It
Okay,
is-
wait,
we are
that's
now
kinda
fully
cool.
7 slotted SMITE to gods.
Yeah, and this is kind of like a best of both worlds, we think, because it still lets people have that choice at the beginning of the game, which can help.
Starter
gods
items are back, and you
excel
have a
in different
starter
roles than maybe
slot.
they otherwise would, but you still
So
have
you have a full
lot
build
of,
in a starter.
build diversity with where you go after.
Okay,
that, and
I
you can
like
build
that.
in any
That
direction.
wins
So
me
we're not
back
taking
a little
away
bit.
anything
That's why I
from your
said I was gonna
6-slot
wait.
build. We're just adding another item on top of that.
So,
So it is more like
because
aspects.
these got out of order. They were by role,
Rip.
but Chaos Row, if you're watching, double check this because
Live QA people.
these got shifted around. We were doing some resorting of the store to, items are going to be sorted by cost, ascending cost. Support ones are cheaper.
So 7
right
items,
now,
technically,
there's
yeah.
2 per role, and there is 1 upgrade per starter. Like, this is still 30 unique, complicated items that we made in a month. We were moving full time.
You think that,
3+
but
designers
when you
working on
consider
this,
that
this
they
is how
only
many we
build
could
into
get in. So
one,
I know
and
there
you
were still
have
people saying
7
requests for
slots
more
to do
starters,
now,
more
you
upgrades.
can't
This
overwhelm
was
with choice
the
because you'll
literal
give players
most we
decision
could make,
paralysis.
because we also made a shit ton of other items. We'll talk about that later, though. Let's see.
I think this is a good
We'll go
starting
back-
point.
maybe back
It's
over
more
starters
than
in a
the
bit if we want
aspects,
to,
because
but I wanna
aspects,
talk about
I think there was only
active items
6.
This is a big one. Yeah.
Yep.
But it gives more freedom.
So with the return of the consumables, you now have a lot of hotkeys that are not freed up. So with active items, we wanted to find a right balance where you have a lot more skill expression, a lot more control, but we're not like digging into the absolute dregs of hotkeys where you're having to, buy a Naga, or like controller players are just not able to do it. So we're going to be capping to 3 active items. So when you browse,
I think
an
Haste
active
was in the
item, you
last.
now
Haste
see
and
you can
Vitalis
own
was in
up
the
to 3
last
active items at once.
alpha weekend.
When you buy 3
While people
active
were
items,
building
you
it
will no
on,
longer be able to buy any more active items. So we don't really let
it was
you
getting
make
built
that
a lot
mistake
on
now.
her.
Once you bought it, you won't be. It'll be as if you couldn't afford it, or you don't have
And Soul.
the right level or whatever.
But
You just
not so
can't
much
buy
on
it.
Kerninos.
So I'm gonna go ahead and buy Bloodforge, and wait, where'd it go? Oh, it went to the wrong slot. Of course. Let's see if this works yet. I bought too many items. Okay, thank God it's fixed. So when you buy a active item over here, it now puts an active ability on your ability section of your HUD, and you can really clearly see this is an active. This will help you remember. A lot of people are saying they just forget to use their actives. They want to move their HUD around.
Oh, I see.
We have HUD editor coming soon. We had alternate HUDs, but like this is just a really clean way to do this. And if you buy
that's
one
cool.
active item, that'll use the same hotkey as your second relic did on Savage, Challenger, or PC. So if you are working like this type of build with 2 consumables, a relic, and 1
I wish it
active,
had been
there's
this
many
way from the
builds, like
start.
passive stats,
I think there would have been a lot
statted
less
items have
complaints.
some stat benefits to them, so you don't necessarily want a ton of actives.
Because
This allows
it's the
you
same
to have like
concept,
the same control
just
scheme
a
as
better
Smite 1
layout.
if you want to, and gives you a lot more control in what your second relic type active is, and you can always buy more if you want. Did you want to add something, Alex?
No, I was just going to say, that most builds internally for most gods have like 1 active on them in our playtest, right? So if you have 1 active, it is just the same as Smite 1 in terms of your button mapping. It's very familiar. And then the other 2 button mappings we figured that like there's 2 really good button mappings, or excuse me, there's 3 really good button mappings. And
with HUD
beyond
editor,
that,
this
it
won't
starts to
be
feel
bad.
bad.
It's a little busy
So
like this, but
none
with
of
HUD
these
editor, if you can kind of
feel
like make
bad
your
to hit
section
on
of that
controller
stuff, I
or
think
on
that's pretty cool.
PC. So we are still
Oh,
implementing
God,
a lot of this.
F.Dot's
so
HUD's
you see
gonna be a
there's this item
fucking
up here doubly
work of
here.
art.
But we wanted to give you guys an early look at this today and make
Oh,
sure that we're on the
boy.
right track. So
I didn't have enough gold to buy the 3rd active anyway, so this is what you can see what it looks like if you had full 3 actives. Even though I did trigger a bug state. It's a known bug. It'll be fixed by the time. We're still really early out, by the way. We usually don't do the show this early for a new patch.
Yeah, we're like 2 weeks away from when we would normally do this.
But this is what it would look like if you had the 3 actives. I don't know why I'm running out of base. I'm not going to get enough gold in time. If you navigate to yet another active item. Oh, I don't have all 3 yet, but it'll turn red and tell you can't get it. Kind of like let's see, what level am I? Level 8. Okay. No, I can't really demo that right now, unfortunately. But there will be warnings, and it will prevent you from buying more actives. And you can reorder the items in your inventory
cool.
to reorder the
Good changes
that you want.
I haven't seen any changes
So
that I fully don't
I
like.
my Bloodforge
Starters, I got to be
on
sold
G, it's
on.
always on
I would
G.
have liked
can
to
just
not have
move
them.
that like that. So that is the new active system.
Yeah.
That's active system.
So we're gonna
Ooh,
go with like
Order
a
Titan
little
looks
bit
cool.
into some actual gameplay stuff here. We're not going to go into the full details of everything, but there's 2 big bullet points we want to touch on today that were community feedback driven and kind of high level. So first one was starters. So bringing back starters. Starters do have stats and costs. So the initial starting gold was bumped up a little bit. Your initial starting loadout, you can still buy like a starter, a tier 1, and some potions, or like a starter and a chalice, like a lot of similar combinations you're used to. But I think you have a lot of possible interesting combinations in Smite 2 because there's some tier 2s you can now afford, I think, which is interesting. They're really strong, and you can come back and build a starter, later if you don't need one. Starters also, the upgrades have level requirements. So supports are level 15
still
and
for
are cheaper,
supports.
whereas every other role is level 20 and more expensive. This one's cheaper, looks cheaper because I already own it. So 2150 plus level 20 for non-supports.
I do kind of agree with that because things like Hog, like we have Sundering Arc,
today,
but
most of them are
you want something to be able to clear better because it limits the jungle, and it inherently gives gods like Thanatos, where they have built-in sustain, better.
Selflessness is just like mini heroism.
Better,
it's just a direct upgrade, like mini baby version.
It gives them like a better run in the jungle, kind of. So.
Pikachu of heroism. We didn't want to bring back Sentinels here because we're avoiding AoE protections auras. So we didn't want an item that was like the starter is kind of defined by that. But yeah, a couple of other things you'll notice, some things like that. You'll notice some new things, but the starters are mostly what you're used to. There's 2 per roll, so there's pretty good choice opportunities for every role, and you can build them in any role you want. So if you want to go Warrior Zax, support, kill lane in duo, you can totally do that. You don't have to build Warfare.
Yeah, also math is different for distance in Smite too.
You can build Bluestone on mid.
So I'm matching is different for a lot of
physical
stuff.
characters. Like there's a lot of
because meters, a 1-to-1 meter is not the same as a
building
unit in Smite 1. It's a different calculation.
But we're just now incorporating starters into that. So it's been pretty neat to see what people have done in testing so far.
Yeah, we'll talk about that even more in a bit. All right, so the next big thing high level from feedback is the total item pool. So there was 2 things kind of about this. Number one is there was a lot of Smite 2 items that ended up just being really close to Smite 1 items. And that was kind of confusing to people and wasn't really, like, the newness wasn't really a benefit. The new name and new art really wasn't doing
I don't know the exact math. I think Innocent Rabbit, if you guys follow
bread and butter comfort items
Rabbit
that
on
people
Twitter
love from Smite 1 were just not in the game. So we ported over 20 of the most popular tier 3 items of Smite 1 into Smite 2. All between Alpha 4 and this patch. So we made 20 plus tier 3 items, 20 starter items. No, 10. I
don't know if I love overloading the item store, but I like that there's items that people are accustomed to, and we can kind of weed out what people are getting and what they don't get. And options are good.
All of the reworks, or like in-place reworks due to naming conventions and confusions and stuff like that. So I'm just going to read off this list really quick for what's going to be in Smite 1. Crusher, Serrated Edge, Devourer's Gauntlet, Transcendence, Heartseeker, Book of Thoth, Spear of Desolation, Soul Gem, Doom Orb, Spirit Robe, Glorious Pridwin, Prophetic Cloak, Shifter Shield, Shield of the Phoenix, Voidstone,
I'm
Void
so
Shield,
sorry,
Berserker
April,
Shield,
wherever you are. I'm so sorry.
Guard, Gauntlet of Thieves, and Chalice of Healing.
Yeah, and I think what we've noticed internally since getting these items back is that it's made some people that don't play as often.
Anyone who's working on a Smite 1, if you're working on a Smite 2 item list, you just had your 13th reason.
A little more comfortable with it because it's like, okay, well, I know that this item is good on this
so
character.
much added work.
That. And then, maybe I branch out and I try something new, but I'm not just completely screwing myself by building items that I shouldn't be building at all. It gives you a couple.
April's been working on like a spreadsheet for Smite 2 items, with the help of Fisher, Kingfisher,
really
and
made it a
Velo.
lot easier for people to understand.
I think they're working on it together. I could be wrong about that,
but
but just unlucky, dude. That is unlucky.
Had a chance to dig into the item store really, really deeply, but this new change allows people
this is a live stream
from Smite 1 that are familiar with those items to hop into Smite 2 and immediately get a sense of, okay, I know what this item does. I like this item. I'm going to build it.
We've also redone every starter or every auto build to include starters. You will still have to pick your relic.
Gotcha.
So when you log into the
Thank you for
load into a
clarifying.
match, you'll pick your auto build or manual build, and you'll pick a relic.
Oh, we haven't talked about what relics we have. Is that later, or is that?
I have that in.
It's next.
It's the next.
Okay,
bullet
sorry.
point.
I'm
no, you're perfect segue. We have the relics in the shop just as a way to view them, and in case you click the undo button too much at the start of the game, you can buy them back this way. But we have added 2 more relics.
They added Aegis!
Fan favorites to the game. You can still only have 1 relic, but we're adding a few more. Phantom Shell was brought in because people were saying they supports really
I'm
wish they
upset.
had a relic they could choose at the beginning of the game if they really want to hyper focus on not getting killed or letting their teammate get killed, because like just having Blink or Beads or Sunder, like all very aggressive, or like Blink is just you can evade. You didn't really have a way of like, if your carry is a little new and you just want to bail them out, you didn't really have an option.
I can be sold on Aegis being in the game if they keep only having 1 relic.
Some high DPS
I can fuck with it.
You can now start with Aegis.
Yeah, I'm with you. Exactly.
Right to the highest level of upgrades, these Aegis of Acceleration, Phantom Shell. Oh no, the Winions are starting to get into the base. It's okay, this section is almost done.
So I think one thing that's really important to mention about bringing back Aegis and bringing these more relics here is that no matter what, you're only going to have 1 relic in the game, right? So if you pick Aegis, that means you're not getting combat blink, which everybody knows is super OP. Yeah. Or beads, which sometimes you
that's a good point, guys.
Or you're not getting
thanks
shell,
for talking me off the ledge.
Shell can be really useful. Like, you are giving up something really strong to get Aegis, and you're probably hurting yourself in some other ways, right? So Aegis
I really appreciate being talked off the
game
off the brink there.
Certain gods that have like almost like execute type abilities that you can't counter in another way easily, and it felt important for that type of gameplay. But you are not going to pick it every game. People are not going to have beads and Aegis every game. You're going to have beads or Aegis or blink, or it's one of them. So it really changes the power level of these and the decisions that you're making. So you're not going to run into a lot of Aegis. You're not going to run it. It's there.
I'm still mad Aegis is in the game because I hate Aegis.
And we have a lot of really interesting balance knobs for like we have the.
But I do.
Shields,
I agree. It's better
them.
like
so
that.
So you can get like a personal shell and purification beads, but you can't get Aegis, and there's a big trade-off there. You can get the AoE beads if you don't pick your beads relic, but that's a like pure health
item. Yeah,
it's a pure health item too. It's like kind of a tank item. So it's like there are some interesting trade-offs there, and we really specifically discuss with our pro player ambassadors and our pro level employees about what combinations felt good to allow like have active items as a fallback relic, or some we just didn't want. Like we didn't want you being able to get active Aegis and relic Aegis, like double Aegising. We just didn't want that, right? So
they could do with relics what they did with glyphs.
Last thing about item building is what we're calling the simplified component system. So we're still building in the component system like in SMITE.
I'll talk about what you just said more after I hear
this.
Item,
it's going to come up from components that fuse together as opposed to the linear upgrade tree. But we've reworked every single item in the game to have a lot more clean upgrade paths. So what we've done is that every upgrade is either 2 components or just 1 component in gold. There's no more 3 components. There's no more tier 1s jumping right to tier 3s. It's all much more direct. And in most cases, you can still, if you just want to browse the tier 3s and double click stuff, that will work for you and won't really change much. It won't mess up your inventory as much as it did before. We're also making the tier 2 to tier 3 upgrades a lot more meaningful. So if you own both of these items, it's still $850 gold to upgrade, and that's on the cheap side. Some of them are much more expensive. In the previous
looks like they added flat pen too.
Owning both of the tier 2 items was getting you like 95% of the way there. Maybe it was just a little bit of gold more to buy, which really didn't make it feel like you got any power spike. It wasn't really noticeably different. It didn't really feel like, it felt like you might as well sit in base and wait for it to upgrade it because you're just like, I might as well do it. It's so cheap. Or when you do finally save up for it, you don't get anything. So it just didn't feel as good. So we rebalanced everything to make the tier 2 to tier 3 jump much bigger. We reworked everything to only use round numbers. So, for the most part, some low tier items are for stats like mana regen. That's actually mana per second, not 5 seconds. So things like that are some that we couldn't do. But for the most part, everything uses more clean numbers you're used to in both cost and stats.
Yeah, this is one of those things that you appreciate more when you actually experiment with it. But you have so many.
Die again.
Yeah, you have so many fewer items that clog up your inventory. It's so much easier to navigate through the trees and understand where it goes. And again, this is like work in progress, right? We have a lot of ideas for how to improve that item tree view and make it even easier to understand going forward. And in the next update, we'll have even more.
Yeah,
but this is where we were able to get to for this update. And we think it's a great improvement and it's a lot better. Please let us know when you play with it. Like, is this feeling better? Is this more on the right track? Because we don't want building to be overwhelming. It's a core part of SMITE. It needs to be accessible, but we want it to have a little bit more depth and a little bit more interest to people that want to go that extra step and really try.
They could do what they did with relics. They could do with relics what they did with glyphs unlimited
value across items instead of SMITE.
What do you mean? Do you mean having like
power tree? Physical power tree had wildly
multiple like 5, 6 relics. I'm a little confused what you mean.
There's some weird balance things that this system does better. So you also notice like when you click on, if I'm clicking on a tier 1 here, I only can see the tier 2s it builds into instead of a bunch of like additional nonsense.
I can't see right now. We're in a different view.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize the top of my screen was cut off up there.
Yeah, okay, awesome, thank you.
Yeah, you click on a tier 1, you can see the 2 tier 2s it builds into. You click on the tier 2, you can see the tier 3s it builds into.
Yes.
The previous system had a lot more mix and match and noise and things like that. So.
I think that's horrible.
All right. We showed the relics. We showed the
Lord, I love you,
we have
but
another
what?
HUD feature we want to talk about. Oh, I lost. Or I won. My Winions won. I was so busy defending my
Can you bring us back to cameras, please?
My Winions won.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
good call.
I
Thank
love you
Isaiah.
more, but
You're
what
good,
the
you're
fuck
good.
are
We
you
do wanna
talking
show up
about?
the new screen. Let me get back in the game real quick. It'll only take a second.
Hop in a jungle practice.
Oh, Conquest is so pretty now, though.
That's true. Yeah.
Jungle Practice looked good this morning when I was running around.
Jungle
so.
Practice has had a lot of updates too. We got to
Dude,
save
Winion's
some things for the
ROP.
main
That's
action
true.
though,
Yeah. We
right?
can't spoil everything.
But this next one is one more UI feature, and then we're going to talk about some God features, and then we'll talk about a system, and then that'll be it for today. But all these were the major features that we like.
It's what we took away from your feedback after the last alpha test, right? And if we missed something major, let us know. But this was what we were able to get done.
I know.
Based on
I thought the
feedback that
same
we
thing.
heard
God
from the
features.
last alpha test, and we're going to take your feedback from the next alpha test, and we're going to keep working on making it better from there. So,
yeah, I'm almost loaded. Not yet. Camera. Okay, camera can come in. Just because we didn't see this before, so you pick your auto build, for a hunter, critical strike or penetration build. Choose manual, and then here's your relic choices. You can pick what you want. I like combat blink for testing because I often like the movement. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is the abilities screen. A lot of people wanting a way to see all your abilities at a glance. Really,
Isn't that
quickly.
a lot like
You
Predecessor
can also
looks like?
use this to level up while holding the
looks
button
familiar.
or going through a console flow that people are used to in Smite 1.
Console
that'll behave
2,
very
that's
much
true.
like it. But now you
Console
can see the whole
flow.
kit at one quick
When I
glance
was
at a
first
person.
learning Smite, I
Yeah,
played on
and we're
PS4.
still,
and I
we still have
leveled
some
my
polish to do on
abilities
the
that same
screen.
way. I
But
know
we
some people
think
use
it's,
K screen to level their
it's
abilities
it's a nice
too.
way to see all of your abilities at once very quickly. And then you can also, as AJ said, you can level up from the screen. So if you want to push, hold down control to see the screen and then push 1, you can level up your number 1 ability that way. So, yep.
Or it's whatever you have bound the ability to.
Ooh, decent viewers.
Like if you put your ability on, I use Q, you press
Predecessor. I mean,
Q
they're both
instead
on
of
Unreal 5
3, but yeah.
or Unreal.
And,
Isn't Pred on 4?
The other thing
I don't know,
is,
but they're both on Unreal.
You can see a
It
little
just
hint of it
is
there.
gonna
yeah,
happen.
that's where it'll show like if you could upgrade the ability.
Also,
how the
like
ability would
Smite
upgrade,
Store,
which
when
is
you
like
put
I
it
said,
to center,
damage
it
increase,
looks all,
cooldown
or to left,
decrease, or whatever. It'll
looks
just
all
show
like
you a little
leagues
summary there.
now. So
Yeah. And the F1, F2, F3,
Ultimately,
F4
MOBA
keys are
gonna
still
MOBA.
hotkeys that will still work without pulling up the screen. If you don't want this screen to obscure your view or anything, this is just supposed to be a clear way of like, I see the thing, I push the button that does the thing, I get the thing upgraded. So, the other thing that we have in this build,
or
is
like
you
a
will be
cool
able
science
to
teacher.
change your cast type by per ability, but it's going to be in the
pretty much
settings
everything
screen here.
is
And
Poseidon,
it
so you're
is,
right on the money with that.
It's not saved per god.
This
right
is an
now.
account-wide setting.
This is an account-wide setting at the moment. So we just wanted to make sure that we had this in there because we got a lot of feedback about it.
Cool.
But it's, we will eventually
Camera
have it in
pitch
on
should
the
be
per
off
god
by
setting,
default.
But this was
That's
just
my
because we
take.
wanted to make sure that we had some ability to do this in for the next test.
We also have the double tap to fire. Big community feedback.
Yes, and a
discussions.
lot of people.
Double tap to fire will now be disabled by default. You'll have to come in here and enable it.
Well,
like double. Right?
With default, it's enabled by default if you're on console, but it's because it is default on console.
Right.
But it's off by default if you're on PC. So
Thank you for clarifying. And there's a lot more settings changes stuff we're not going to go through today, but those are relevant to what we're talking about. Okay, let's move on to gods.
Yeah, that was a lot of item changes. Go over some gods.
I don't think we'll be able to see much in the game at this point. You can probably come back to the face cams for this section, but two big features for gods that we're going to talk about today. The first one is about the actual design of the gods and how they play and how they function. The other one is just polish and feel. So let's talk about the game design first. So all gods in Smite 2 will only deal one damage type. So they only deal one damage type in Smite 2. We're going to change that. There are more mixed damage types. So Anubis AO2 Mummy used to deal physical damage. That will no longer be the case. It will. Each god will have the consistent damage.
I don't know if I
output.
like
so you can
that.
still look at Neith and go, "Oh, that's a physical god." If Neith is building into ability Neith or ADC strength Neith, either way, that's a physical god. You know to build physical protections. You know how to counter that god, and you can recognize that much more easily based on what you're used to from Smite 1. So that's the first change. That'll affect any god that had mixed damage outputs.
yeah, but just to be clear, you still will be able to build strength or int
intelligence.
for different scalings. So the building still has that element. It's just it'll be more easy to understand what type of damage a god is going to be doing to you.
Right. So any god can still build any item. So if you, like for example, on her as a full strength god, he only does physical damage. But if you want to build Chronos Pendant for like some crazy cooldown build or whatever, sure, you go for it. So gods will be split into 3 groups for their scaling types. They'll have 100% strength scaling, 100% int scaling, or hybrid gods that could have int and strength scaling. So most of this is not going to change. Gods like Chalk can build int or strength to scale their ability damage. But gods like Onher are going to be 100% strength. God Anubis is now just going to be 100% int. There's no more build a little strength to mess with a hard-hitting Mummify. That's not a thing anymore. The only exception to that is everyone still has the same basic attack rules. So you can still build strength on any int god and try to build
I don't know
like a
how I
meme
feel
ADC
about
build.
that.
You can't do the inverse, right? Strength gods don't have any use for int. So you'll have to look at each god, and we'll be working on getting some more clear labels about who's intended
I don't
to
know if
be
I fully
only
understand
strength,
it.
only int, or who's hybrid. Tanks are going to get a bunch of unique protection scaling abilities on their abilities. So we're going to be adding to all of the tank characters. They'll be able to get some sort of improved utility effect, potentially a damage effect, or other effects in their kit from building more protections. They'll actually see new things scale up, and that's going to be really unique. And then to facilitate item building and making it really smooth for all these changes, we're going to be
I'm a little
physical
confused.
and magical penetration into just one stat, penetration. So now we don't need to have like an int physical pen and an int magical pen in every combination, which was just
Because like I kind of wanted it to be like
or really limiting.
I don't know.
To certain builds. So every item will just give you
I don't know. I'm like a
penetration,
little
and
fucking
you could
confused,
build that
dude.
in any combination of strength
Best
and int
viewers on.
very easily, and you would have seen that in the store while I was playing earlier. If you go back and look, you'll notice there was just one penetration filter in every strength or int pen. So you can double filter. So just filter to int plus pen or strength plus
I'd
pen,
have to
depending
like
on what
see
you-
it.
Or if you're a hybrid god, you can build one of each. Like Neath mid might actually want builds like that.
Yeah, I think it's really good because it keeps a lot of what we liked about the old system. It just makes it easier to understand, and it also makes tanking work better in the game from my experience so far, in that it's easier to predict what kind of defenses, what kind of protections you're going to need, and it's easier to understand like how much pen people have and all that. So,
all right. So next thing is God Polish. It's going to be harder to show off anything like this today because it's really like you won't notice it until you really have the character in your hands. And
That's what I'm confused about. Like I really liked.
We're taking the feedback about how a god feels and plays and what's wrong with them from Smite 1 to Smite 2 really seriously. So we're.
I really liked
use
ability
Susanoo
like intelligence
as an example here.
Neath
I'm just
in
going to rattle off
tournaments.
some of the things we've done to Susanoo since his feedback in Alpha 4. Basic attacks adjusted the post fire time of hit number 3 to match Smite 1. Ability 1 now has a shorter pre-fire time to better match the animation. Ability 1 now has adjusted animation blend that will make the animation better fit.
I
the
just
timing.
like I said, I don't fully get that
AO1
part.
now hits knocked up targets.
I'd have to see it in game and
AO1
play
is now
with
a
it.
true sweep attack. It was just a instant attack. It will update the hit area to be more correct and highlight targets correct. Updated the radius by 0.5 meters to make it more accurate to Smite 1. Updated the animations to now have no blend time, so they really snap really closely together in the combo for Susanoo. Like some animations we want to blend out to idle, but these ones are fired really rapid succession or you're in-hand canceling between, so we remove that. Ability 2, we updated the cone size to better match Smite 1. We no wait, I lied here. Bon, I should have fixed your notes more before I read this, but so scratch that one. We updated the blend time on this ability as well. We added the Susanoo's ability 2 is not an instant cone. It actually has a travel time from closest to farthest, which is really important for when there's multiple enemies in the area and ordering them up so they go to the right place.
I didn't know that.
We reworked and fixed all that. We removed blends on knocked up characters who were pulled because they would do some weird visuals, so that will feel snappier. We updated the actual fire time of this ability as well, and visual effects and sound effects were all updated to better match the ability. Ability 3, we updated the projectile size to better match Smite 1, and ability 4, we better updated the size to match Smite 1. And we're doing that type of list on every god.
Yeah, and to be clear, not every god will have this level of changes heading
crazy.
into this first closed alpha test, right? I think the lesson that we took away from the most recent closed alpha test was that we needed to be sure that we were closer to 1-to-1 on some of these field things from Smite 1 to Smite 2.
That's a lot of changes.
Where we hadn't previously gotten as much of that kind of feedback. So we're going to be going back through and hitting them kind of rolling wave, kind of like we were talking about the card art before. So you're going to see some of these gods get changes this time, some that we haven't gotten to yet, we'll get it next time. But we want to make sure every god feels as close to Smite 1 as we can make them.
All right.
I mean, but better, right? Not just like a copy of Smite 1. You know, we want to make sure it's not worse than the Smite 1 feel. Right. And in some ways they are in certain ways worse than Smite 1 feels. So we're addressing that.
Sorry, production team. Yeah, we want to make them feel, all of the parts that you love about Smite 1 feel as good or better, plus all of the new plus ones in the kit, right? So if we want to hop in Gamer Home, show you a few things for our next 2 items. So the next 2 items in our note is a visual effects clarity pass and impact pass, and an audio clarity pass and theming pass.
Okay, cool.
This is not done for all the gods either, but is in progress. Ymir is one of the ones who's most furthest along. So his abilities, we don't have a before and after to show you here, but all
I can see it. It's a lot cleaner.
Updated since Alpha 4, specifically to
that's a lot more
make
visible,
them easier to see in a combat sense. So there was just maybe a bit too much.
Ooh, jungle practice
looks
really nice.
Bright colors, hard contrasts, things that maybe work.
Oh, cool. There's a lane
situation, but if we're trying
that's
to
cool.
Battleground of the gods here, we need to know what's going on better. And this also helps performance by doing a very tight look at these and keeping the parts we need the most. So Ymir and every other god will be getting a full audit for excessive effects, flashing things that can be disorienting or fatiguing, clarity issues with mismatching sizes or timings, or just overly artistic elements that weren't contributing to the clarity. All of those things are getting a second pass on them, and it's going really well, and they're looking really good.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I noticed the most looking at Ymir's effects is they used to have just a lot of really bright white areas, which looked really good and really icy.
It's way more blue than white, and that was kind of the thing.
Saw it in the span of a fight with a lot of other bright.
Because like Chox was gray, Zeus was gray, you know.
And so we took that feedback and we went back, and it's just it still has a lot of the same feel, but it's just going to read a lot better in combat and not be so overwhelming on things that don't need to be overwhelming. But if you do like the Frost Breath again, you'll see that like the Frost Breath has a bright like glow to it when it happens, because that's something that you need to do.
They basically made it more.
Glacial Strike,
they made it easier to see. They improved the clarity of it.
Because that's the part.
In previous stuff, like where it's blue, it would be a lot more white and kind of fade in. My example was, and this was actually feedback I gave. Like Chalk ult and Zeus ult looked so similar because they were just kind of like water and gray and circle.
It really is. And
so it was hard to differentiate what was what. And they're saying they're going through and they're making a pass to make sure every god is super clear and the clarity is there.
To go through this, it's like, and shout out to the community who are enjoying this entire ride through an alpha of a game. Absolutely. So the last thing on our list here before we show off one new big feature is the audio. Oh no, we have 2 more things, but audio clarity is going to have a similar thing. So some of the sounds that people know and love from Smite 1 will be brought back into Smite 2. So like On Her's Javelin Impale Throw is going to be the Smite 1 sound. There's been just a lot of back and forth and confusion and, a lot of negative feedback about things changing too much in that regard. So we're doing a lot of those, just bringing back the sounds that you know and love, and the ones that are most important to the kits. We're also doing a wide range clarity pass for just kind of the rules, some of the hidden rules around the audio for the characters that really contribute a lot to making the characters feel good. One good example that we found was like swing audio versus hit audio, which it sounds like in this current build, I can't really hear much, so sorry, I can't really demo this very well right now, but like Smite 2, a lot of our initial passes, the character swinging their weapon was far too loud. Mm-hmm. And that made it really hard to tell when you were hitting something because you couldn't hear the hit sound, which needs to play over the swing sound. And it made the characters just really noisy, just kind of moving around. So like rebalancing a lot of things like that to make the game just sound better. A lot of work going into that. Yeah. Anything to add? We're going long today. We still got one big feature to get to too.
Yeah, I think the only other thing I'd say is like, another area of audio that we didn't really talk about is when somebody dies.
Oh yeah.
We were missing a lot of the audio feedback that you get in Smite 1 when somebody dies. And that was, the gold explosion, the ka-chunk sound, an enemy has been slain. all of that was missing from the most.
I didn't
recent
even realize
Level
that.
Alpha builds. So we think that understanding when somebody has died
Gold
and
flew to me.
yeah, see that gold flying to you, like all that stuff is there in Smite 1, and that helps you understand when people are being killed.
I didn't
and
notice
read
that.
The flow of
I play with
combat.
my sound
So
pretty low
we're
though.
hoping that with that in, the flow of
Probably because I
combat
don't
reads a little bit
compete
better. We're also
competitive, but I
changing
play
the
with,
effects.
I
I'm not sure if
play
we're gonna
with
get
my
to go
sound
into
pretty
Close
low.
Off 1, but
God
the,
damn, I get paid to
the
talk
kind
for
of
a
like
living.
fade out effects when you kill somebody. Yeah, you see they have that upward burst now too. That helps make it more clear when somebody's died. We still really like these like effects on somebody dying rather than the animations, because those animations were so
Yeah, I
different from
listen to
God
music.
God
I put
that
streams on. I'm
those
always
were actually
talking in
really hard to
Discord, you
read
know.
unless you've played 8,000 hours
And
of Smite,
lingered forever.
and they lingered forever. So we think that this is actually the right direction for Smite 2. We just need to make it work. So
I didn't think the
we're
sound
doing
was
a
bad
lot of
though.
work
There
on
was some
this,
stuff that
and I
sounded
think-
off.
I think
Footprints
it's reading
sounded
a lot
odd.
better. So would love your feedback when you guys play. Hopefully it feels better.
All right, the last little thing on the list, not little, it's going to be a little bullet point,
It's
but I
fucking
don't want to
funny.
undersell the amount of technical work that went into it. So shout out to Chaos and team for minion knockback AI and grouping, just a full pass on minions to make sure they behave and feel
dude.
more
Oh
like
my god, the
Smite 1,
minions were so troll.
which is been iterated on for years and years and years.
I think it's the
until now,
wrong
like,
tower.
Our players obviously really like, oh, I went through the enemy tower. Okay. But yeah, just really making sure their knockbacks feel like more like what you're used to. Oh man, I just one-shot that whole wave.
Yeah, the
My power scaling is a little
footsteps.
off here in jungle practice, but yeah, big change. A lot of
Minions
like,
were
pros
like, if you watch
players, especially
the
solo
tournament
laners, were,
in
really
particular,
feeling this. It
minions
matters a
like
lot into the solo lane.
sometimes they could
At a
go into the
competitive level,
jungle
so
and get
we wanna make
lost.
sure that the Smite,
Like
solo
you
lane
could
is as
just go
competitive
into
as ever in
the
Smite 2.
order
So we
jungle.
spent a significant amount of time.
Let me turn them
getting
down
that,
as I'm speaking.
tuned up.
You could go to the
I think
order
it's just-
jungle and you could just find a
Minions
minion
should
just
be
sitting
made
there.
much more
Minions could
predictably
leave
and not
lane.
just
Sometimes minions would
hidden with
disappear.
those
There was a bug with
or
Zeus where
maybe
Zeus
they
would
come to
spawn
or
a wave of
gets
minions in the
distracted with
jungle
just
for a
attacking
while.
some
That was kind of
thing
funny.
you wouldn't have in Smite 1, and now,
Yeah, lots of
you know,
changes like
all
that.
of
And I'm
those
assuming that'll
things
help
are
on
just
Spectator
so much
too,
better. It
because
feels so much
obviously
more natural
spectators
to the
viewing the
game.
minion
And
AI.
it really is a big feels
One of the big
improvement.
things, and I believe we have a short video for tomorrow, but like characters with leaps, before there was an issue where minions would just run away from you whenever you go in the air and it'd make it hard to clear. And that's being
Yeah,
reverted to
AI issue.
more like Smite 1, to where they'll just stay in place even if you're in the air mid leap, for those characters that use, leaps to wave.
Can we hide the game screen while I switch us to the next section? And Alex, you want to set us up for the next one? Or
Yeah. So
Isaiah?
Okay,
one
what
of
we
the
got?
other really big features that we're going to have in closed alpha 1 is god progression, god mastery, right? So
Oh, Ascension Pass stuff.
when you're playing,
I'm a little
game,
nervous for this. I don't know.
it's always great
I've
to
been
feel
waiting
like you
to
have
know what
something
Ascension
to do,
passes are
right?
like.
And one of my first objectives when I started playing Smite back in the day before I worked here was I'm going to get
I'm
every
ex-
god
I'm
to master
excited.
level 1. That's like my goal. And
We
we
like learn me and get
every
every
god master level 10. Yeah. So we know that having something to grind for and to see you're making progress as you're playing the game is really important. So we wanted to get that system in for 24/7 alpha. But we know that the way that mastery works in
I'm
Smite
excited.
1 has a lot of things that are really good about it and a lot of things that are kind of like, eh. So one of the things that's really great about Smite 1 is that it's this endless, keep getting stars. You can always make more progress and show how devoted you are to your god, right? One thing that's bad is that you really don't get anything for mastering your god other than numbies going up, right? You get the ability to purchase 3 mastery skins. That is what you get in Smite 1. At master level 1, master level 5, and master level 10, which is not really great. So with Smite 2, we wanted to look at that progression and how can we make that feel more rewarding, give more rewards, more interesting rewards, and make it something that's kind of a fun experience as you go from 1 to 10 with each god. So because of that, we've introduced Ascension Passes, which if you have bought a Ultimate, or what's the mid-level one called? Deluxe Founders Edition. You've already purchased some of these, so hopefully you're excited about what you see here. But yeah, so basically as you're playing each god, you'll progress along kind of like a mini battle pass track as you gain worshippers, just like you're mastering your god in Smite 1, but you'll be able to see it better. And you'll unlock new rewards, including a lot of new kinds of rewards, which are really exciting and let you personalize your representation of your character.
Sorry, I'm not talking over this. I'm just really curious for them to explain it.
So I think that's a decent little spiel before we go to the screen. Anything that I should talk about before we see the screen?
I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
we'll look at the screen and you can go ahead and keep walking us through whatever you'd like.
Okay,
I've
so
got it pulled up right now.
let's look at the screen.
Here we go.
Okay, so this is the screen. As you'll notice, there are both free and paid rewards on the track at different levels.
Shadow
one thing to call out
Susano,
right
sick.
away is that we've rebalanced the way that you progress through this, where it's going to take the same
to
amount
30
of worshipers to get from mastery level
worshipers.
0 to
Okay,
mastery
for
level
one.
10, but you're going to get to mastery level 5 more quickly. So you'll get the first 5 tiers of rewards much more quickly. If we can go to the free reward for level 1, you're going to get the clap emote for free now as part of just leveling up your god.
And
if you go to level 7, I'll come back to that in a second.
Okay.
If you go to level 7, you're going to get the wave emote for free just for leveling up
Okay,
your
so
god.
everything
Keep in mind,
cosmetic for a
you
god
also
like that
just
isn't
get
a
the voice
skin
pack for every
necessarily is
god
built
just free by
within.
default in Smite
Every
1, so
god
you don't
gets a
have to buy
shadow
those separately.
skin. That's all sick.
Now, at the bottom, you also note there's like times 10 diamonds. Diamonds are the new premium currency in Smite 2. So what we had gems in Smite 1, in Smite 2 we have diamonds.
Okay.
So you're going to earn, as you play through, I believe the number is 225 diamonds on the free track.
Okay.
that's a lot of diamonds.
That's a
for playing
lot
god
of diamonds
just playing
for playing
Smite
a god
free.
for free. And then on the paid track at level 10, you will also get 225 diamonds. Spoiler on the Radiant skin. So you'll get.
God damn, that looked good. Did you see
just by
that?
playing through this, if you get to level 10,
Ooh.
with your legacy gems.
God
that's enough.
damn, that looked
basically
good.
Go infinite if you buy one of them for free. But you'd still be using legacy gems, right? Yeah. The other thing, just because I'm into pricing right now, and everybody's had because this leaked, because Rally here, a little bit of this leaked at least, because Rally here posted a blog.
Teased, you mean?
Teased, whatever.
Teased, yeah.
Unintentional tease, I think is the best way to say it. So
I'm sure they'll go back.
You see that this is showing,
but they
that it
showed the
costs
Radiant skin. That
450
shit looked
diamonds and
good.
450 legacy gems. If you didn't have legacy gems, it would be 900 diamonds for this. And this is the way almost every purchase in Smite 2 will work and will look for you. If you have legacy gems, it will be half price. Half of the price will be legacy gems. Half of the price will be diamonds. There are also going to be certain skins that we are porting from Smite 1. I think it's only going to be one in this closed alpha patch because we decided to give the other one away free as a Twitch drop, spoilers.
Oh, hell yeah.
But that you will be able to spend 100% legacy gems on.
Okay.
So you're going to be able to get stuff just with your legacy gems. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
We're going to keep dropping more and more skins that are kind of ported Smite 1 classic skins that you can get for legacy gems. So you need both.
I like the Twitch drops for
450
Smite 2.
diamonds and
Huge.
450
Fucking
legacy
huge.
gems or 900
W.
diamonds. Now, the question in everybody's mind, because you're used to Smite 1 currency pricing, well, how much is a diamond?
Yeah.
So the currency in Smite 2 diamonds works a little bit differently than Smite 1 because Smite 1 had some issues. The currency value scales really hard in Smite 1, harder than any other game, where it's a dumb idea to not buy the $100 pack. And no offense to people who have not bought who've bought cheaper packs. I've bought cheaper packs myself before I started working here. But the exchange rate is just so much better if you buy the $100 pack that it feels bad when you're like, oh, I'll just drop $8 or whatever and get 400 gems. So we wanted to flatten out
I know what he
the
meant.
currency curve across from $5 to the $100 pack. So it's less of a bad idea to buy a smaller pack. And by doing that, we also just kind of had to jumble the numbers around a little bit. So the two price points that I've memorized in my head, which I will share with you today. So for $10, you will get 1,300 diamonds. For $100, you will get 16,000 diamonds. So the very rough way of thinking about it, since it's $100 was 8,000 gems, it's 16,000 diamonds. So it's kind of twice as much, but it's a bigger difference for smaller prices because $8 was 400 gems and it's, and $10 is 1,300 diamonds. So the prices should be much more accessible without needing to spend a lot of your money to get to. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you buy any Founders Pack, your legacy gems are doubled. So we aren't trying to do
I think so. I think whenever you buy,
whenever
you buy
the
Founders Pack, I think whenever you buy it is when you get the double. I think.
We're also giving you all of your free gems that you got for daily login bonuses in Smite 1, and those are also doubled if you buy any Founders Packs. So that was probably more currency talk than I really wanted to get into, but I know that the first
But
thing
I'm not
everybody's brain goes
entirely
to is
sure.
like, what's this going to cost me, right? And I think that this is, we're trying to be as
For clarification's sake,
fair and as cost effective as we can be.
there's not like
stuff.
some
And I
kind
think
of like
being able to
chart
go
or
in
like
cheaper
than a
there's
lot
not
of
like a
other
thing I can just go pull
still
an answer
cheaper than
from
a lot
where I
of
would do
things, and I
that.
think very competitively, like the fact that you can go infinite on these with just legacy gems is pretty good. So back to the actual contents of this, because I'm sorry, I went off on this tangent that I was supposed to go off on later. So what else do you get when you buy in? If you buy an Ascension Pass on the break, you get the Shadow skin.
What I wonder is if you can
you
buy
get,
the
can you go
Ascension
back to
Pass
full screen
after
on
you
the-
level.
the,
I'm assuming so, because
production?
that's
Can you go back to
kind of
full screen
not
on the-
terrible.
Thank you so much.
Like,
Thank you.
So you get the Shadow skin.
this is kind of
which is
cool.
pretty sweet.
I'm not gonna lie.
Kind of inspired by the Shadow skins that we used to do.
I'm not really. I've never been a big
you get,
microtransaction person.
Epic Tracker. So these are
Obviously,
really
like
cool.
a
And you get
free
mastery
game.
emote. So
That game I
I'll
work
talk about
for.
mastery
I'm gonna
emote
say
first,
like
actually,
it's
'cause
good stuff.
So
I just
now,
it's just
oh, okay, we'll talk
not
about
something
the track,
I'm
fine.
always
So,
super obsessed with.
talk
But I
about
think
which
this is
one
really
you want,
cool.
I'm sorry.
I think
I
this
don't
is
like this tracker
cooler
too
than the
much
way
to
that
know.
it was.
as you do things in Smite 2,
I like that
we are
the
going to
little
track
silly
them,
purchases
and you can
don't
show
feel as much of
them
a waste
on your loading
anymore
card to
because
everybody. So
yeah.
as
Oh,
an
skin
example,
leak.
you're spoiling. You can say, okay, I'm showing how many times I
Oh, that's
got
cool.
an enemy to max stacks of Storm's Edge ever in playing the game, and how many
That's
god
so
kills
sick.
I have gotten on Susanoo. So people can see your progress and your stats. And these will start tracking before you unlock the tracker, so it's not like you got to rush to get
This
the
is
tracker
so
unlocked. You're not
sick.
going to lose these things. And each god has two really kind of like custom things related to their play style. So like Ares, I know, has like a triple chains one, and a god stunned with no escape, with your ultimate. And Susanoo has stacks on stacks, which is gods that you get to max stacks of his passive, and distance dash, which is distance that you have traveled. So how many miles have you gone in your life while you've been playing Susanoo?
Tracks
using
before
your
the unlock. Yeah,
Jetstream
yeah,
and
that's
using
cool.
your Storm Kata, I think is the name of that ability. And each god has different ones. They're really kind of interesting, and you can show off your own stats, which we think is really kind of cool. And then you also get this master emote. So the master emote, just kind of like VXG or one of those other
Okay,
inputs
that's
that
cool.
you can do. You put in a VGS input, and you will be able to show everybody in your match, look at me, I'm mastery level 10 with 30 diamonds. Or 30 stars, sorry. So you can flex on people
Jesus.
in game. And
Can't wait
show
for
off your mastery
Aphrodite's with
level
150
in-game,
stars to be spamming
once you
that
have,
shit in my
Ascension
lobbies.
Pass.
Yep, that's right. So when you buy Ascension, you'll immediately get these
Christian,
rewards.
Kill
It'll
Chrissy, are you
unlock
still
all
hanging out
these
in
possible
chat?
future
Because somebody
rewards, or if
said
you've
it's a
already
lot
gotten
like
to
League of
max
Legends
level,
Eternals.
you'll
Well, I
get them all
guess
immediately.
Spirited, you might
will
know also.
get this little.
Somebody said
little
it's
number down
very
here.
similar
Yes,
to
you will also
Eternals
get
in
a
League.
25% worshiper boost.
For this god.
For this god.
Forever.
Yes. So we want to make sure
Is that a
it
popular
wasn't so
system
much
in
that it
League? Do people
made,
like that in
the
that game?
grind feel meaningless, but just a little bit extra boost. We thought felt
Right.
nice.
There's no boosters in Smite 2 at this point. There's no team boosters. There's no account boosters. So like this is the way to effectively get those.
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
we also thought that if you are giving us some money because you want the things on this track, we want to make sure that it's a little bit easier to get
I think
the
so.
track and get the things on the track.
So that's the summary for when
Yes,
you buy in.
when you buy in. Okay, so level 1 you get the clap.
Let's do like all the free rewards.
Okay. So level 1 you get the clap. Level 10
10
diamonds.
All right,
Level
Poseidon, where are you at? Lock in, because I don't want you to
Oh,
miss this
geez.
cool ass skin again when they get there.
Level 3 you get a goddess.
You've missed the skins each time.
Every god gets a goddess's tracker here, and 20 diamonds. Level 5 you get the Onyx skin free and 30 diamonds.
It's a legendary.
And remember, we've made it a lot easier to get from 0 to 5 than it was in Smite 1. I think you said it was about as hard as it was.
Smite used to have trackers back in the day.
Smite 1?
Well, yeah, getting to level
You couldn't
1
choose
calling
what
that
trackers
master
showed,
just kind of
but your
felt weird
stats
and,
did
like, showing
show.
off a
I
skin
think I
because you
have
got a god
old
to level 1,
recordings
it's
that had
congrats, man. Like
I have
so
old
what
games
made
on
it a
my
little steeper,
old
a little
YouTube that
harder,
have
this
like
is
my
where you can
stats from
actually start showing
Apollo.
off that you've actually got some mastery on the god. This felt a lot more fair. And we tuned it a little bit to just ease the curve here. But yeah, now you'll have to get to level 5 before you can actually start swagging on this god.
Yep. And then at rank 7, you'll get your wave and 40 diamonds. At rank 9, you will get the God Kills tracker and 50 diamonds. And at rank 10, you will get your God Mastery Badge and 75
God
credits.
Mastery
And
Badge.
these
Cool.
rewards are these free rewards are very the system here is pretty much the same for all the gods.
Smite
So
one
you're
just
gonna
buff
get the
Jing. Have
same
fun.
emotes at the same level and the same gems for all of the gods. They're not radically
I know, Book.
different.
Keep
The
watching.
cosmetics are tuned to better fit the character, but there's no like giant mix up in these. So at any if you are wanting to go grind Anubis really hard when you
And
get
manifest,
into Smite
right?
2, it's gonna be the same types of rewards, the same levels, be the same gem kickbacks, the same levels. This, if you see someone sporting this badge, it means they got to level 10 on any god, because every god's going to have one of these at level 10. It's very system driven in that way.
And trackers are tied to the god, so you can't show like your Susanoo god kills while you're playing as Anubis, but you can show like your badges and some of these other things that will show you on other gods, so people can see, oh, this guy has Susanoo at rank 10, but he's playing low.
Screen 4 games last night.
So then in the paid rewards, you get
another tracker.
All these things as soon as you buy immediately. Yep. Then at level 2 you get
level 2 you get a objectives destroyed tracker. At level 4 you get one of the more custom trackers that's different for each god.
Surprised they didn't ban it.
Ooh, the Opal skin.
Opal, sick.
This skin I think looks the most different from god to god, and on some gods it looks really awesome. On other gods, I still think it looks awesome, but it looks very different.
That's
right?
cool.
It's a little darker and like sleeker on this one. It's more purple and pink and sparkly on some other characters.
Yeah, on some gods you really can
No
feel like
negative
Opal,
to that.
like
you know what I mean?
Opal
That's a cool ad.
essence to it.
Yeah.
On other gods it's more.
I'm
like
gonna
just
use the
kind of
fuck out of
color
those
scheme,
skins.
but
I'm a
it's kind of
big
neat
pink
thing to
fan.
experiment
If
with.
real quick,
and
if
then
this doesn't tell you,
These crazy effects and make sure the beads.
Big pink guy.
Up, by the way.
Yeah, and then you also. Sorry, keep going to the next one.
We're really excited about these.
Yeah, so these are awesome. So global emotes are just like way cooler than they were on Smite
that's funny.
1.
That's funny.
And you have this, got to go
Weeb
fast.
run.
Naruto
Susanoo
run.
here, yeah, little Naruto run.
Chat says weeb run.
Yeah, Weeb run. And each god has their own custom kind of global emote here that you can unlock. And then those can be used across any god once they are unlocked.
We really leaned into the memes for these. Yeah.
Yeah.
We won't show them all today.
This is
but-
cool.
Almost too hard sometimes, but
Yes.
that's the right way to do it, I think.
I'm glad it's fucking cool that it's launching in closed alpha with progression. That's fucking sick.
Actual title.
Sometimes shortened a little bit for character length, but
Yes. And then at Mastery level 10, you will get the Radiant skin along
Holy
with,
fuck, that looks good.
artifacts, which are really cool. So it's kind of like a loading frame.
and a big
but
batch of diamonds.
It's this, yeah, and 225 diamonds. So this really
That's so
neat,
sick.
Like, it's not like kind of like a loading frame, but it's not. It's all driven through FX, and they just look so smooth and so slick. Like the Ares one in particular, with like there's like chains that are weaving through
That
it.
is
Like,
so
they're
cool.
very cool. So hopefully people are, really like these and are excited about.
I
the
sort of wish it was
opportunity to,
diamond
really kind of
instead of like
customize
the
a
silver
loadout
and
for your
gold
favorite
combo,
god
but that's
and-
really
and
fucking
show
cool.
off, with your own personal style.
Yeah, I talked about it a little bit earlier.
You'll still
but
see
just to
CC immunity
reiterate,
over
each of your
Radiant skins.
loadouts are unique per god. So I can set up whatever combination of badges, trackers, title, frame I want for Susanoo.
This is really cool.
And it'll save. But then when I switch gods, so if, production, if you want to hide my cam just real quick while I switch gods to avoid any spoilers.
No spoilers.
But
And
spoilers.
while he's doing that, I'll mention.
Okay, you can toggle back in.
There is also a badge here. Yeah, see, this is the Ares. Oh, geez, it
We've
looks
got
so
a
good.
couple things we're still working through some bugs. So like I do have
Really?
a second
That's
tracker
cool.
here
They're cool.
equipped, but it's like hiding sometimes when it's not supposed to. But now when I play Ares, so the card art.
This looks
behind will
really
always
fucking
update
cool.
To the skin you're playing and the god load, and it'll match the loadout. So you set your loadout for each god, then you play any god. It'll pick that god's loadout and then update the card art to that skin. And yeah,
Yeah,
as we
top
already
right
mentioned,
is
like,
Mordred.
these will
Your
be
call out.
updated to the new illustrated card art, not the renders eventually as well. Like this is.
Oh, yeah, any god
use the same
spoilers? I
art
just see
there, it's
Mordred.
we don't have that art yet.
Yep. And one other thing I will
No,
mention
just
is that
Mordred.
there is, we mentioned this when we
Lot to
announced Final
scroll
Legacy,
though. You guys see that?
but there is a badge.
Wait, keep
that
looking,
you
keep
will
looking.
Be able to equip that shows off your Smite 1 mastery level.
I saw
on that
Charybdis.
god. I don't think it's working in PTS today.
I don't think so. I had it on one god, but I have a 1-star, 2-star Ares on Smite.
Yeah. So.
Oh,
so
wait.
It just
Are those
looks
badges
exactly
from Smite
like the
1? Am I crazy?
Mastery area with the Roman numeral and the stars.
Yeah, I saw you Huang.
So we wanted to let you kind of pay
Ishtar?
homage to the time and effort.
Saw
that you put into
Sobek
Smite 1 and
Uller?
your accomplishments there.
There's Smite 1 badges,
be able
but I
to
wonder if
flex
those
a
are
little bit.
hints.
So
Yeah, this is where a lot of your divine.
I don't
Master stuff
know.
is gonna be.
I should,
you'll
like,
be able to see
kinda
if you were a
clarify.
Smite 1 beta tester. We have those.
I don't
avatars,
know.
The, Smite 1 Worlds Twitch drop, the various tier 5s if you collected them, and ranked skins if you collected them. The
Who I gotta
various
talk to
Smite
about my Salt
season
avatar,
ranked
man?
achievements,
Fuck!
Playing enough matches from those to get them. Here's the tier 5 ones. So you can really, even though you're in Smite 2, you can still show off a lot of this unique things. And these will not be attainable any other way than owning these assets in Smite 1.
Yep. So through the
That's
Divine
pretty cool,
Legacy,
though.
if
It's
look
cool
at
you
the
get
screen in Smite
something.
1, it explains how you get all this stuff and what your progress is. So definitely cool, and we're checking out.
I think that's everything.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I'm not gonna say
Kind of
that.
like we're gonna show you. Obviously, you'll be able to see whoever's in the flash tests and stuff. We'll probably start posting these emotes because the memes are really
I like
good.
the
and
spicy.
Start taking a look at some of these other.
I saw
skins
Uller
and,
too,
you
but
know,
now I guess those are
think really
Smite 1
cool.
skin related.
But
Damn,
yeah,
Shadow
that was
Ares
the-
is sick.
Yeah, I will say one just kind of last thing, because we were talking about Divine Legacy. There's the skins that are in Divine Legacy as well that are kind of cross-gen, or not even cross-gen, but you just get in Smite 2 for completing Divine Legacy stuff. We're rolling those out kind of as quickly as we can while staying focused on making a great game. So you should get those relatively quickly for most gods after they are released, but probably not in the same update that a god releases. So just to set expectations, because I don't want people to be like, well, I unlocked this thing. It's like, you're going to get it. We're going to do it. We're working on them all, but sometimes it just,
This is a really
better
cool
for us
update
to
show.
ship those a
Progression.
little
Don't
bit
forget
after
that
the
they've
god
already said that
releases,
Smite 2 is
to make
launching
sure
with
that everything's
ranked.
fine with the
They've
god.
said that a
We don't have to
million
go back and do
times.
stuff on the skin when we-
So you get
Yeah,
ranked,
there's a
you
lot
get
more
those
to
ascension
show off
passes
the
to
front
grind.
end
Looks like there was a
UI
lot
is
more
a
gods
complete
in.
Visual overhaul. We're going to talk about ranked
Yeah.
systems. We're going to talk about new conquest objectives. We're going to talk about new gods. We got a lot. We're going to maybe talk about some more forward-facing plans for after the first 24/7 launch on the main patch notes. We can go over any of the specific item changes or balance changes, but those are the big things that we wanted to get to today that the community asked for. I just want to, just for like closure, I just want to go over the high-level list again.
Yeah,
For
list
anyone
them
who
off.
came late, I had chat was spamming me during the loadout view of card art change. It's like, yo, you must have been late, because yes, we already talked about that.
Yeah, we are going back to illustrated card arts, but we're updating them all to be even
But
cooler.
these look so awesome, by the way, and you can display them on the loading frame, and when you load
Oh,
into
those
a
are
match,
cool.
you can mix and match them with any god,
Is
any
that
style.
Cuckoo's?
I think so,
Oh,
yeah.
that's good.
Each of them are, themed around a god, really specifically. So
Those
I
are
was
really
supposed to
cool.
demo some of these, but yeah, they're really cool. All right, so the things we talked about today were illustrated card art returns, environmental overhaul for style and fantasy, performance updates, item store changes including starter items returned, consumables returned, active item 3 slotting, starter upgrades, 20 plus of the most popular Smite 1 items, roughly 2 to 3 per roll returning, adding 2 more new relics, simplified component building, and simplified component building.
This is
actually
cool.
required us to, like,
This is
pretty much
all really
rebalance
good.
The entire item store.
I'm very
So
happy
you
with
probably
this.
won't get, like,
Aside from
changed
Aegis
with
being
patch
in the
notes
game.
for plus or minus strength or whatever, because everything had to be rebalanced.
That's just 'cause I
clarity,
suck
and
at the
aesthetics,
game.
Along with the new ability screen, or K screen as PC players are used to calling it, simplified damage typing for gods, single damage type output.
I'm
as
curious
well as
what the
gods being
Doomers are gonna
specified
say.
into 100% strength, 100% in, or hybrid scaling types. Big polish passes on all of the previous alpha gods, which we exampled through Susanoo, but many other gods are doing similar changes. And we also are doing the visual effects for clarity pass and impact, the audio clarity and revert for Smite 1 iconic sounds, and game design updates regarding minion knockback AI and grouping to match Smite 1, and Ascension Pass.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
The Doomers,
stuff.
the Doomers we doomed.
And I, looking at chat, it seems like people are generally excited about stuff, which is great to see. I will say, I see a couple people asking about favor. And since I talked about other currency, I guess I should talk about favor a little bit too.
Favor gone.
So we are not going to have a free grind currency, favor equivalent at the beginning of Smite 2. Right now, we're focused on making the core game. We're making it great, and there's not a lot.
Yeah,
to
they probably
actually
don't,
spend
man.
that currency
It
on if you
sucks,
were to
but
grind
it's
it out.
true.
Many ways to earn free diamonds, though.
There are many ways to earn
those
free
will have
diamonds.
value
Yes,
forever.
yes, and you will be getting daily. There's an early version of daily login rewards that will be in
Nice,
Close
good
Alpha 1
change.
That will give free diamonds. There's going to be other ways to get free
And
diamonds.
mastering any god. Will get
Mastering any god will give you free diamonds. So there will be ways to get diamonds.
These are all
but we
dubs.
don't have this like kind of favor equivalent currency yet. We're expecting that something like that will be added when we get closer to free to play, because we kind of have this bigger plan for a system that we aren't really ready to talk about yet that is tied in with that. So hopefully that will be exciting when we get there, but for now it's not there. The question that's going through most people's minds then is, well, if I get in with a free code, then how do I unlock gods?
Good point.
What we're going to be doing for the short term is all gods will be on free rotation so that you can play them, except for the gods in the most recent patch, which will be reserved for God Pack holders Founders Edition owners.
Founders owners.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
So
you can't buy the god individually even at this point, right? It's Founders Pack or
yes, yeah, it's just
or free rotation.
Yes,
that makes sense.
So during this early beta, or excuse me, early alpha,
that makes sense.
You know, we want people to have access.
That seems
to
reasonable
gods
to
so
me.
that we can see performance and not be kind of railroaded through that early progression.
Feedback,
I know they never said this, and this is my opinion. I think that the closed alpha is for Smite players to transition to Smite 2 and get in the game first, and then I think that, which is why I think marketing will be low, and I think like betas and the game coming out free to play, that's going to be when you actually see promotion.
Founders Editions will be available in closed alpha 1. There's
a lot of people asking.
There's even an in-game UI that shows how to do that. So if you were excited by what you saw about the Ascension Passes, hopefully we think they're pretty cool, and you want to upgrade to get more of the Ascension Passes, there'll be a way to do that, to go from any level to any level, I believe.
So I saw some people asking about profile. I had to switch clients because there was a bug, but if we want to show on screen really quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I think it'll be safe to show. There is a simplified profile.
That's cool.
Section here, and you can choose any badge to be your avatar.
That's definitely a different
so
Sobek, right?
Different
That's definitely a new look of Sobek, that from Smite 1.
If you have Archon Thanatos, from Smite 1, which is hard to get, you can set Archon Thanatos as your avatar, and it just looks sick. I mean, I'm a big Sobek fan. Sobek was my first played god in Smite 1.
Really?
First level. Yep, first mastered. He was all of.
I don't recognize that, like the headpiece he's got on.
For my teammates. And so I've equipped him here. There's also some other things here. I'm not going to demo all this now because I don't want to.
Unless it's on the remake.
Yeah,
he's more scaly too.
Yeah, and
that's okay.
This is
the earliest version of this.
Earliest version of this screen.
Early.
I think that
to expand the profile a lot.
Yeah.
This is just the necessary pieces. So match history, checking up on your rank.
Cool.
Confirming your daily login process, and there is a couple of cosmetics that are account level, not god level, that'll be handled here. Yeah.
And some, I
don't think there is an Amaterasu badge in Smite 2 yet.
I don't know. Yeah, you got to work on that. One person just
asked, so that is okay.
Smite 1 will stay up when Smite 2 releases, right? Yes, Smite 1 is not going anywhere. We know that Smite 2, like, hopefully you can see with this update, we've made a lot of improvements. We're listening to you guys. We're doing everything we can to make this game great, but we know that we still have a ways to go, right? And we think it's important that you guys have the option to keep playing Smite 1, to keep accessing all your stuff there, or if you're really
I will not be playing Smite 1.
Want to jump over, then cool. We're happy to have you. So Smite 1's not going anywhere. We are we're hoping that over time more and more people decide they want to move to Smite 2 because we're doing the right things and it's just a better game, because that's the goal. We just want to make a better game than Smite 1. But yeah, Smite 1's going to be there, and especially if you're stuck on an older gen console and can't play Smite 2, we're happy to have you keep playing Smite 1 for as long as you're having fun and claiming the queues in the battleground of the gods. So.
All right, gentlemen. Well, that wraps it up for us today. Thanks so much for taking out the time. 24/7 Alpha, August 27th.
August 27th. Yeah, big day for us. And it's a big day, but it's the next step.
Yes.
Right? Game's not done. Game's not shipped. It's still alpha.
It's not finished.
Job's not finished. We're not like, okay, guys, we got it here. Just as we have been through these alpha weekends, we want your feedback. We want to understand what we need to work on for the next update, and we're just going to keep grinding, and we're going to make this game great. We're really excited about it. I'm stoked with how far the game's come since. Like, if you look back at the footage from the first alpha weekend to now, like, I think that everybody can see we've come a long way. There's things that we wish we could have gotten done sooner. There's things that we wish everybody wants more gods. Everybody wants more items. Everybody wants more and more and more, right? And we're going to get there. We're going to keep grinding it out. And hopefully, everybody just enjoys what we can present now and, sees the future and is along for the ride. So,
well, everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. We'll be back in a couple of weeks for the full update show for Closed Alpha 1, where we'll have
I'm excited for the
details on
first
God
update show, man.
balance, item
I'm very
balance,
happy with this stuff.
game mode balance. We'll have the full reveal of Mordred there. We'll have written patch notes on the website. We're going to be talking about ranked on that show. There's just so much coming in this update.
Dude,
all
I was
dubs.
looking at Mordred's ability descriptions today, and I was like, how am I going to get these to fit on that screen? He does so much stuff. Like, he's interesting character.
Yeah. Interesting for
Yes.
sure. If you haven't read the Closer Look blog,
he does have to keep up with Arthur, yes.
Yeah, if you haven't read the Closer Look blog on Mordred, head over to smite2.com and check out the news page there for some early info on Mordred before full reveal. But
yeah,
we're gonna be
I get
flash
that.
tests like
I've kind of always
a
been
bit, so
bullish, and that was before I knew I was gonna be casting for it.
But outside of that, thanks so much for tuning in with us and joining us. We'll see you not.
So call me biased, but I was excited
Thank you.
beforehand. Woo!
Made
in Georgia.
in Georgia.
Okay. Patch notes. Well, dev show. Patch notes 2 weeks. That was cool. That was fucking cool. How we feeling? I'm feeling good. I'm with you, Poseidon. I'm hyped up. That was kind of exactly like what I wanted. I mean, the only real change I wanted was the art style to be a bit more Smite-like. Much excite, huge. Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with how that went down. Pretty happy. I think that's a lot of good. I think that's the right changes, the right direction, whatever you want to say. Like, I think Ascension patches or passes. Jeez, I think Ascension passes are cool. I think it's a good progression system. I'm glad they're adding a lot of Smite. I hope they don't go overboard. Because, like, I think the one change I'm still confused about is the change to the scaling stuff and kind of what was going on with, like, physical or strength versus intelligence and them taking out and making gods have one thing. I think it's important that they don't go back on all their ideas, because just because the initial reaction isn't great or the initial version of an idea is bad doesn't mean their idea itself was bad. So I hope they don't go overboard, because if it's just Smite 1 with a graphics upgrade, then people won't like that in 2 months, no matter what Reddit says. So they gotta be smart. But I think they are. I think it's good stuff. I mean, balancing being too much of a nightmare is like, I think it depends how you're looking at it. Because balancing is tough when you look at things, because if you're looking at the idea of doing intelligence and strength separated with the logic of Smite 1 balance, then yes. But if the logic of the game is built around the concept, it can be a bit different. And I feel like one thing they did that I agreed they needed to change was it did feel like there was no full commit. Like, yeah, you could do intelligence neath or strength neath. You could do some intelligence stuff on her, but you should probably build him strength. Or, like, you should build intelligence soul, but you could build her strength if you wanted to. I feel like they should have leaned one way or the other. It looks like they're choosing to lean more towards Smite 1, but I think if they had gone the full route of making things actually optional, that could have been cool too. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you can take me seriously with the banana duck. Banana goose. Goes crazy, no? Is this my is this my thumbnail? I mean, this book kind of said what I said a little bit. You got bricked up from that? Yeah. Hell yeah. As you should. As you should. You guys want to see something cool real quick before I'm gonna chill for a little bit. You want to see something cool? I like this. It's stupid, but I like it.
Delightful new pan that lets you prepare a cake with all kinds of delicious fillings. Imagine the look on your child's face when you cut into the
There's
cake
commercials.
his favorite flavor of ice cream or her favorite gelatin. You can enjoy a cake filled with delicious
It's so
fresh
good.
fruit. The secret is these 3 separate sections. Just pour your favorite Betty Crocker cake mix into the main bacon-filled pan and lock on this special inner chamber.
It's
Now
so
pour more
good.
cake mix into this base pan and put them both into bake. When they're done, remove the insert, add your filling to the center cavity, and cover it
It's
with
just a
bake.
bunch of commercials. Yo, did anybody else have a Zoo Pal? Because I didn't, and my best friend when I was that age had one, and that shit pissed me off. I wanted a fucking Zoo Pal. Yeah, I was too broke for Zoo Pals too. Zoo Pals. Fun.
Summers are great, but kids can lose 2.5 months worth of what they learned in.
Can start all over or let it harden and keep it forever. Look,
Victoria still plays with fucking like moldy clay.
turn into a work of art. Check it out. Tiny
I know I know exactly what you're talking about, the shark fin.
Just ask flexible and virtually nothing sticks. So a
Virtually nothing sticks.
every time, making it the ultimate party activity. Mix and match delicious flavors like strawberry and chocolate. The
There wasn't even audio at him saying wow. Oh, I remember this one. Doesn't the can follow her?
But I love Chef.
But I love Chef Boyardee. It just follows her home. It's so stupid. Did they really? It did stop at the red light. That's a good call out.
What do you want for dinner?
Chef Boyardee. Boy.
I remember that one having more of like an oomph. What's next? Yo! Let's go!
I'm working for an hourly wage. I went to high school, didn't do great. Still, I gotta make more cash. More education is what I'm looking at. When I get a degree, I will make a bigger
I hope she's doing good. I hope her life is so good.
College is right for me. I went on the internet and found education connection. I took some free tests.
No, that's heat.
I'm taking my classes online, getting my degree on my own time. Education connection matched me with the right college for free. Get connected for free. Free with education connection. Get connected
For free.
with
Education connection. I hope she's doing good. I've never hoped anybody was doing better my whole life.
Say hello to the Pillow Pets.
It's a pet. The pillow pet.
Pillow Pets are cute.
She's not 70. How old do you think this commercial is?
And they make perfect pillows.
What do you
Moms
mean
and kids will
70?
absolutely love their Pillow Pets. You simply undo the hook and loop strap, and the pet pops open into a full-size pillow. Just fold it up, reattach the hook and loop, and it's back to a
70.
cuddly animal. It's fun and easy. Playtime, sleep time, anytime. Kids of all ages love their Pillow Pets. There's a panda bear, a ladybug, a frog, a
Aw, the
dog,
frog's cute.
a unicorn, a dolphin, a bumblebee, a monkey, and so many more. Everyone needs a pillow. Why
Okay,
not
but this is a
have
banger
pillow?
Be Right Back
Pillow
screen,
Pets are
no?
Great for travel. Look, PJs fit right inside. Perfect for the overnight trips to Grandma's
What
house.
league is
This
gonna
more than
implement
just
this on their
another
Be
stuffed animal.
Right Back
This is a
screen? Who's
toy
got the
that your
courage?
child or grandchild will use every night. It's a pet with a purpose. Every pillow pet is made of ultra soft, high quality chenille fabric.
That's a long ass commercial for pillow pets.
Old plane, new plane, fast plane, slow plane.
Slow planes.
The ghost really is the Scooby-Doo haunted.
I wanted this so bad.
From the prehistoric past and the limitless future comes Roboraptor. Fluid biomechanical motion and 3 programmable behavior modes make him interactive, responsive,
I had
and
this!
unpredictable. Touch sensors in his
I had
hand
Roboraptor!
Sonic sensors lock onto sound. Vision sensors see you. Take control of Roboraptor with a multifunction remote or let him roam free.
Dude, I had Roboraptor. I was a fucking terror. I got him on a Christmas day and I was a terror.
Roboraptor, a fusion of
Oh no,
technology
I was
and
broke. It was from a grandparent.
Unleash the power of Roboreptile.
My household was broke.
Roboreptile claims his territory, stalking his prey with biomorphic bursts of speed, while his highly evolved vision system alerts him to danger.
The highly evolved vision system.
Part technology.
I'm 96.
Roboreptile, a fusion.
Very good. Mommy thinks so too. Orogel's safe to swallow, fluoride free, and has great flavors. Oragel.
Sold separately. Batteries not included.
Oh wait, a Nerf commercial? Those used to be heat.
Great flavors. Oragel, what moms want and kids love.
Nerf. New from Nerf, the N-Strike Recon.
You're
CS6,
older than I thought
the
you were,
blaster
Juan.
You can customize for any mission. For night missions, equip
I'm
your
used to
red
get.
spotlight
Somebody
to
called me
spot hidden
Unk the
targets.
other day in a
For multi-target
SMITE server, and I was
missions,
very
the
fucking
S6
distraught about
Dark
it.
Clip gives you extra firepower. And for long-range missions, flip up the sight. to
I'm
nail
still
your
recovering
target.
from being called Unk.
The N-Strike Recon CS6, only from Nerf. Blaster comes as shown. Other blasters sold separately. Batteries not included.
Yeah, well, I'm the doodle bear. I come with pins for writing on. Notes and names and games.
Is this a parody of The Wanderer?
When they
Am I crazy?
which tattoo I love the best, I throw over my arm.
Wait,
Rosie on my chest 'cause I'm the doodle bear.
what the fuck it is? Yeah, I'm around. It's like a song from Fallout.
I hop in that washing machine and come out nice and clean. 'Cause
That guy like always is suing over stuff too.
comes in one of 4 different colors with washable doodle pens and tattoos. Each bear
Washable doodle pants and tattoos.
Hey, Furby!
Nope. Can't do Furbies. I can't do Furbies, bro. Furbies scared the fuck out of me.
Sold separately. Batteries not included. You can find more fun at Hasbro.com. Ask a parent first.
Yo, is this Sapphire? It is Ruby Sapphire. Yo, that was my fucking Sapphire was my sentimental favorite. My first one was Yellow, but Sapphire is my favorite. Wait.
Pokemon Ruby and Pokemon Sapphire. Only for Game Boy Advance. Rated E for everyone.
Wow, Muzzy programs have been helping children learn languages. The biggest, most
Muzzy, I remember Muzzy. I didn't have it myself, but I remember it.
With a little help from Betty Crocker. Introducing the Betty
That woman's face was crazy, no?
little help from Betty Crocker. Her no app with icing for your complete all for 10.
Or you must be.
Not anymore. Introducing the original Chocolate Factory.
The original. I remember this one. This is definitely one of those like midnight commercial ones.
Just place in store-bought chocolate. Select your favorite treat. Then with adult supervision, simply dip it, dunk it, fill it, or pour it. Look, regular pots burn chocolate, but Chocolate Factory's double boil. You can even make. Here's how to order.
Here's how to order. What do you think happens? Like when those go down, you know?
Treat your family to chocolate
Like,
creations.
what happens when like a TV order place goes out of business and like you can't order from them anymore? That's what I want to know. It looks like that thing grew molds for fun. Yeah. Content gone. Well, I know. 30 minutes of commercials and I went through it in like 2 seconds. Oh man. You know, I don't wear t-shirts a lot. That's Admiral Q. He's a penguin. It's not one not a lot of people see. Anyway, we were talking about SMITE. I don't have ADHD, but it'd be hard to believe after that. This day started with feedback from Mort. I don't. I have OCD. Like, actually. The real kind. The real kind. I don't know if it's same difference. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know if I agree with that. Is that SK Pisso, my homie? I just came here to say the Death Show is fire? And I've been stuck with old commercials. Pistos, dude. Who called you that? Somebody else called you that, and I just never forgot it. I think it was Cub. Cub said it, like young Cub back in SDL. And I just remembered it.